on the calendar in the matter of O'Neill versus Valley. You're quite welcome. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Ms. O'Neill, you and the defendant were engaged to be married, and according to your complaint, the defendant used your credit cards. You had not given him permission to use the credit cards, and he racked up bills in excess of $5,000.
Correct.
The defendant says that he had the right to use your credit cards. You had given him permission.
Correct.
You have a counterclaim, sir, then it's a whole potpourri of stuff. You claim that you put a lot of money in a truck that she kept and some other stuff, which you will explain to me later. Miss O'Neill, when were you and the defendant living together?
He moved in late September.
And tell me about the credit cards.
The credit cards are in my name and my name only. The credit cards had a zero balance, and I took the defendant once to go shopping for his children for Christmas presents. I was aware of that, and I'm not disputing those charges. And we also had put a down payment on my ring on that same credit card. He said it was his responsibility, and so when the statement came, he would make the payment directly to the credit card company. He'd give the envelope to me sealed, and I would mail it from my place of business, and so on and so forth.
He took the bill sealed?
He took the bill, he sealed and I'm assuming opened it to pay it, but I never.
But you never opened the bills?
I didn't see the bill because, again, it was his responsibility because it was presents for his children and, again, for the deposit on the ring. I didn't see the statement because I had nothing on there at that time. And, Your Honor, I really do feel like this matter was something that was brought forth premeditated. I think that he...
Okay, so let's get to the story and then we'll discuss whether it was premeditated or not.
Okay. I had the credit cards put safely in my bedroom because I was not going to be...
Well, so far you had one credit card that he used. What about the... You said
right.
Now you had
There's
another
a second card that had gotten mailed to me that I did not use anything for. We took one trip to Tahoe that we did use. And again, I'm not disputing those charges. We charged about $150 that weekend. So what had happened was I placed the Visa in the headboard of the bed, and then when the MasterCard came, I also put it with that as well.
When did you discover that there were excessive balances on the credit card?
On March 27th, I received a notice that there was a certified letter at the post office waiting for Jason that was for a storage unit that I had had my bed in that had all of his other belongings in it. So I was a little suspicious because obviously it wasn't a Christmas card, it was probably an eviction, and that means that he was back a couple months. So I confronted him that evening, and I asked him, how are we doing on the bills in general, my ring, the storage, you know, little things like that. He said, oh, honey, you know, we're caught up, we're fine, and he also got offended that I would even ask him something like that. So he was at that point lying to my face. So that morning when he left for work on the 28th, I went through a side of his bed that there were drawers that he kept a number of receipts and tax return information. When I found the credit card statement, I noticed that I also found forged receipts that have my name forged in his handwriting, and also a lot of the receipts in his possession matched my credit card statements with an outrageous balance. So
what was the balance?
The balance on the credit card was almost $6,000. That was the Visa, and the MasterCard was about $1,500.
You have those statements?
Yes.
I'd like to see them, please.
Did you want to see the forgeries too?
Yeah.
Okay. These are the receipts, and then these are some information along with my copies of my time card as to...
No, just give me the receipts, please, and the balance that you found on each of the cards. Am I correct that there were some cash withdrawals as well?
Correct. And I've never made a cash withdrawal, and I don't know how he got the PIN, but my name's Aaron, and he had commented once before that he had called for insurance purposes on the truck, that he used my name, Aaron, and he thought it was kind of humorous that he could get information using my name. And so I'm assuming he might have used that method to obtain a PIN number because I don't know my PIN. I've never used cash advance.
Did you ever get a PIN number yourself?
I never received one myself. I don't know if one was ever mailed or, because I don't use that. And Your Honor, on a lot of the forgeries too, he's misspelled my name, so.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, Your Honor, I have some proof here, some letters here showing that she did give me permission to use the credit cards.
Mr. Valley, let's start from the beginning, sir. I want you to start with where you got the credit cards from, when you took them out and used them and signed her name.
Your Honor, I used the credit that she gave me the credit cards to hold in my wallet. There was nothing in, no cupboards or nothing like that. She gave them to me when we go out at night and stuff like that. She didn't want to carry a purse, so she gave me her driver's license and her credit cards. Sometimes she'd have a little too much to drink or something like that. We're checking out, okay, and it's like, you know, we're signing away, and she'll say, just sign the credit card. I didn't think this was a problem. I had no idea. I always had the credit cards in my possession because when I first met her, she used to keep her credit cards in the freezer in a bowl of water, okay,
Yes.
because she had using the credit cards too much. She racked up bills and stuff like that.
Yes.
When I first moved in, she says, okay, pay minimum rent, here's my credit cards, you pay off your credit cards, okay, and she says, well, I have a better interest rate and that let's use my credit cards when we need them, as long as you pay me back. And I was making the payments, I
Just a
was paying
minute.
them back.
There we go. As long as you pay me back.
Yes.
Okay, you see, you keep talking. Sometimes if I let you keep talking, and you stick both feet in your mouth. So, you acknowledge, sir, let me take your best case scenario, that you used her credit cards, but the agreement was you would pay for those credit card bills.
Correct.
So why didn't you pay them?
I was paying. I have proof here that I was paying them every month.
How much were you
Okay,
paying?
I was paying $140 a month.
So therefore, Mr. Valley, you acknowledge that you owe her $5,000.
No.
Well, explain that to me, sir.
Because
either you took the credit cards, pay attention to what you just said. Either you took the credit cards, as she says, without her permission, or you had her permission, but your agreement was that you would be paying a minimal rent and you would take care of all the charges on the credit cards. That's what you just told me a moment ago. So explain to me why you don't owe her $5,000.
I was to take full responsibility what I put on the credit cards, Your Honor.
That's not what you told me, sir.
Well, that's
I mean,
what
how
I
does that
said.
work out? You order 2-egg roll, you pay for yours and you don't pay for hers?
No, Your Honor.
You you put gas in the car, you split that down the middle. How does that work?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Chevy pickup, when we purchased it, it was bone stock.
No, I purchased the truck. He has credit worse than a 2-year-old.
And later today,
I apologized and I told her I was late on the payment and that I would get to it. She...
Talk. Did you make March's payment?
No.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Aaron O'Neill says ex-fiancé Jason Valley forged her signature to make unauthorized credit card charges. Jason says he had permission.
Go ahead.
If you look on the credit card statements, it shows her charges, then my charges. Her charges, then my charges.
I'm talking about your charges, which are in excess of $5,000, sir. Not her charges, the charges that you made, whether it be for gas or restaurants or anything else. Now, are you telling me now that your agreement was that you would split those charges 50-50?
We never had that agreement, no.
So your agreement was that you were supposed to pay the credit cards?
For my charges, yes.
Right. All right. So we just took care of that. Give a guy long enough and he always just gets right in there. All right, Mr. Valley, now let's get to your counterclaim, sir. Let's start with this truck that you say she owes you money for.
Back in October, we purchased a 98 Chevy extended cab four-wheel drive together. Okay, my financing wasn't going to be the greatest. She said, let's put it in my name, we'll get a cheaper finance rate. The Chevy pickup, when we purchased it, it was bone stock. It was no add-ons, no nothing. I purchased lift kit, all kinds of accessories, and when we broke up, she came to my shop saying, I want the truck. I said, that's not a problem. I will take my stuff off, I will put your tires back on, do whatever has to be done. No, I want it now. I said, well, I'd like to have my property. And she says, no, take me to court.
Yes.
Okay. We purchased the truck? No. I purchased the truck. He has credit worse than a 2-year-old. I purchased the vehicle myself.
Who's making the payments on the truck?
He was making the payments on the truck, which I also show that he was also delinquent on the payments for the truck. So I had to pay $500 just to get current when all of this happened.
Who's making payments on the truck now?
He was. Oh, I am.
Now.
Oh, I am.
Is the truck in your name?
Yes. Always has been.
Did you ever make an arrangement with him that he would be reimbursed for any additions or any modifications that he put on the truck?
No.
All right. Now let's leave the truck for a minute. Did you enter some sort of a contest with him?
Yes.
All right. And that's the last part of your counterclaim, sir, that she owes you for half the prizes that were awarded to you as a couple from this dream wedding contest, which turned out to be not a dream wedding.
Nightmare.
So tell me about that.
We won gift certificates to different places like jewelry stores, and it was like $3,000 in gift certificates.
Okay. You want to respond?
Yes, Your Honor. The total for the gift certificates retail face value was $3,305. None of the gift certificates have been used. I have sold about half of them in retail value, and I have had $1,200 from those gift certificates, and I'm also showing that.
Show it to him, as a matter of fact, first, before you give it to me.
And I also have the original entry showing that it's all in my handwriting and my effort that was placed forth, and again, my effort to sell.
But you won as a couple.
Correct.
All right, and you sold some of them, is that right?
Right, and the ones I have remaining that I did not sell actually equal $50 greater value than the profit that I made on the ones I sold, and I'm more than welcome to hand them over to him now.
Okay. Mr. Valley, you want the other half of the gift certificates?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Give them to him. Perfect.
There's the photographer, $955, the caterer for $250, and then 2 vacations. One has a retail value of $475, and the other's unmarked, but it, I'm assuming is around
Whatever. That's what he wants. He wants to sell it or he wants to use it. All right. Now, I think that we have resolved this matter. Mr. Valley, you owe $5,000 for the charges that you put on her credit cards that, according to you, you were supposed to pay for. According to her, you stole. I take your word for the fact that you had a permission, but you agreed to pay for them. So you owe $5,000. The vacation packages and the photographer, you have half the value of the gift certificates. As far as the truck is concerned, I find that there was never an agreement that you would be reimbursed for anything that you put in the truck. The truck is in her name. She is currently paying for the truck, so for the truck you get nothing. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He really thought he was sneaky and that he would get away with stealing forever.
It's her word against mine.
Yeah, this is case number 410 on the calendar in the matter of Bremsey versus Griffin. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Young people, have seats.
All right, let's talk very briefly. You two moms don't know anything about what happened at school on the day of this incident when your daughter's nose was broken. But it is your claim that the defendant's son assaulted your daughter, broke her nose, and you want to be compensated for the unreimbursed medical bills that you sustained.
That's correct.
Mrs. Griffin says that her son was merely defending himself, that your daughter started the fight, and she is not responsible. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you two ladies sit down, and I'm going to see these two young people right up here. What's your first name?
Kiara.
And yours?
Donald.
I'm going to start with Donald. Now, Donald, you know that you punched Kiara in the face, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And her nose, according to her mother, was broken. So I want you to tell me why you did that.
I got to school that morning, and kids had came up and said, Kiara called your mom a low-down dirty. Okay.
Okay. So somebody came up to you and told you
Yes, ma'am.
that Kiara had called your mom a nasty name.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do?
Okay, Kiara, she was on a field trip, and she came back, and I guess the kids had already told her. And we was...
Okay. Were you on a field trip that day?
Yes, I was.
Did you have a conversation with somebody when you came back from the field trip?
Yes, I did.
Who did you have a conversation with?
My friend that I was standing next to,
And what's your friend's name?
Tony.
And what was the conversation about with Tony?
We were talking about things that we were going to do on the playground, not about me calling his mother a name.
Well, let me ask you this question. Why would you call his mother a name?
I don't know, but I didn't.
Didn't say anything bad about his mother?
No, ma'am.
Well, what happened after you had this conversation with this gal who was telling you about these bad things that she was saying about your mom?
It was around lunchtime, okay. I guess she had already came back, and it's a breezeway that you walk down and go to the playground. And I walked up to Kiara and I asked her, and then she kicked me and she said, I didn't say nothing about your mom. And then I punched her in the face.
So what you're saying is she kicked you first?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did she kick you?
In the growing area. She tried to.
She what?
She tried to kick me in my growing area.
But she didn't kick you?
She kicked me, but I had blocked it so she could not
kick you
in that spot.
Okay, so she kicked in your direction, but you didn't come together.
She kicked, but I blocked it. Okay. Okay, and so then I punched her, and she had a jump rope. It's red, white, and blue. Okay, like the American flag. And she hit me in the head with it. And then by that time, we just started fighting. And then Miss Porter, she saw the fight. And then by that time, she came, took us to the office. And then Kiara's mom came. And then they went in the office.
Donald says that you tried to kick him. Is that true?
Yes, it is true, but I did not kick him.
But you tried to kick him. Why did you try to kick him?
That was after the fact of the fight, not when the fight started.
Well, you tell me now, Kiara, how the fight started.
He came to me and said, "What'd you call my mama?" And I said, "I didn't call your mama nothing." And then he pushed me and I pushed him back.
He pushed you. How did he push you?
Real hard, like this, pushing me back or something, and up against the wall. And I pushed him back, and then he came in my face. He grabbed my hair, pulling my hair down, and then punched me in my face, just keep on one side of my face. Then he started punching me in my nose about 10 times, I should say. And then Shayla went to go get a teacher, and he ran off to the playground like did nothing happen.
Had you ever had trouble with Donald before?
No, ma'am.
Had you ever had trouble with Kiara before?
No, ma'am.
Well, maybe this other young girl who was telling you the stories was just making things up. Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why would you believe her?
I went to her and asked her, and she kicked me, and then I punched her.
I don't believe that. No, Donald.
I went to her and asked her.
No, Donald. I don't believe that you asked her, and in response to your asking her, she kicked you.
Yes.
Don't believe that, Donald. Doesn't sound right to me. Doesn't sound right to me, Donald. Sounds like a good story you might tell your mother, but it doesn't sound truthful to me. Have you ever had trouble scrapping in school before? What are you looking up for? You're not that old that you have to remember.
With one boy. With a boy. Yeah.
Once before.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you lose your temper?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened to you in school when you lost your temper?
We started fighting on the playground.
How many fights have you had in school?
None.
Didn't think so. So, Donald,
Now?
you see how you know how to be a polite young man?
Yes, ma'am.
You got to carry that over to the outside world, Donald. Understand, Mrs. Griffin? He wasn't telling you the truth. She didn't kick him first. He got angry. And he got angry, Mrs. Griffin, because somebody told him that she had called you a bad name.
May I?
Sure. Go ahead.
I really don't know exactly what went on in this incident, but prior to this, the kids were calling one another. They supposedly were secretly liking each other. This child called my house numerous times.
So?
They liked each other, so I figured it was just a little disagreement between maybe a little girlfriend and boyfriend, and that's how it started. I don't really know how it went.
All right, Miss Griffin, let me go back a second. What I don't want you to do is to make excuses for Donald.
Oh, no, there's no excuse.
Okay.
None.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know how many hours your mother has to work for $175?
12.
A little bit more than that.
She has to work a long time to get that money, Donald. So you not only owe her an apology, you also owe your mother an apology. You start with her.
And later today,
Your son is an alcoholic. He's not providing for his family. She has a baby and 2 other children, and you're suing her for a deep freeze? Where is your brain?
Key Breamsey says 10-year-old Donald Griffin punched her daughter in the face, breaking her nose. Donald says she called his mom a bad name.
All right, Miss Griffin, Donald was told by someone, a gossip,
True.
that this young lady said something bad about you. Now, she says she didn't say it, so that could have been just a troublemaker.
That's true.
But your son has a short fuse, because he's been in trouble for fighting before. And what he would naturally do is not go over to Kiara and have just a discussion with her. He would be angry. Doesn't strike me as being logical that if he went over to her and said, "Did you call my mommy a name?" and her response would be to kick him in the groin. That doesn't sound logical to me. What sounds logical is he might have said to her, "Did you call my mommy a name?" And she said, "No, I didn't." And then he hit her or pushed her, put his hands on her. That's logical. And that's what happened. And it's all because he listened to somebody who was gossiping. Do you understand, Donald?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't want to spend the next few years with your mom having to come defending you in court, do you?
No, ma'am.
Because that's not pleasant for you and especially for your mother. Okay, step up, Miss Breamsey. Tell me about your nose. What happened to your nose, Kiara?
It was broken. He punched me in it a lot of times.
Tell me what it felt like.
It felt like it was hurting really bad. It was getting swollen up. And
You have any pictures? See, you have some pictures there. I'd like to see them. How old are you, Donald?
10.
Looks to me like you punched her in the eye, too. Did you do that, too?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Breamsey, how much were your out-of-pocket expenses? Because it's hard for me to tell. It looks like they were $165.
That's correct, and $10 for the radiologist.
You have to take care of that, Donald, which means your mother has to take care of it. Does your mother make a lot of money?
Close to, yes, ma'am.
Think your mother... Look at your mother. You think your mother makes a lot of money?
Yes, ma'am.
You do? Miss Griffin, you make a lot of money?
I doubt it.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a correctional officer.
Your mother works very hard and does not make a lot of money. She doesn't have a lot of money to go around getting you out of scrapes. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you're very lucky that Miss Breamsey only wants her unreimbursed medical bills, because I don't think she wants to hurt your mother. Believe me, if you were older, she'd want a lot more. You know how many hours your mother has to work for $175?
12.
A little bit more than that.
She has to work a long time to get that money, Donald.
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't have money to go around to buy you out of these scrapes. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you really understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
So you not only owe her an apology, you also owe your mother an apology, because your mother's going to have to come up with this money for you. You start with her.
I'm sorry.
You mean it?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $175. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I hope Don has learned something from this.
She told him she didn't like him at all.
Never pay attention to other students.
No, we're not friends, and he did like me.
If they hit you, you hit them back, but you're not supposed to hit them, though.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kaleem versus Bradford. Step forward, please.
23-year-old bartender Nita Kaleem is suing her former friend, 27-year-old furniture refinisher Terrence Bradford, for assaulting her during a night of drinking.
Miss Kaleem, how do you know the defendant?
Terrence Bradford was a friend of mine.
What does that mean, a friend of yours? Was he a boyfriend?
A friend of mine, just an associate. We lived a block away from each other. If I wasn't working and he wasn't working, we'll call each other, go out.
It's your complaint that he assaulted you for no reason one evening when you were both drinking.
Right.
Mr. Bradford says that you were drunk and you went nuts and he was merely defending himself. So I want you to tell me when this happened, what kind of an assault it was, what your injuries were, and then I have a few other serious questions to ask you.
Okay.
When was it?
It was on September 11th of 2002.
Where were you and what were you doing?
I was in Terrence Bradford's home. We were...
Who else lives in his home?
His mother, and I think his stepfather, his father.
Were they home?
His mother was home, yes.
Go ahead. What time of the day?
Around 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Come on, let me hear what happened.
Okay, what happened was... Terrence called me earlier that night. He was like, "What you doing?" I said, "Nothing, I'm not doing anything." "Well, let's go get some beer that he drinks." Now, this is like some strong beer, and I don't really drink like that. Every time I get with Terrence, I drink with him. And we were drunk that night. We were both drinking. And
in his mother's house?
In his mother's house, yes. And what happened was, I couldn't breathe. I was having difficulty breathing. All I remember was...
You were having difficulty breathing from what?
From, I don't know, I just couldn't breathe. I was on the bed. I remember him calling his mother, asking his mother, what's the matter with her? She's not breathing right. She's acting funny. I remember his mother saying that, you know, just get a cold rag or whatever. She's just been drinking a little bit. She'll be all right. Next thing I know, I'm standing in the kitchen with his mother. Then she has a towel to my head. I don't remember getting hit. I got hit 3 times, actually.
You just told me you don't remember getting hit.
No, I don't remember getting hit. But the way that I got hit, I have pictures if you want to see. I sustained a black eye, my nose was busted, and I have a scar on my head from where I got hit, where actually, if he did hit me, he had to have hit me at least a minimum of 3 times.
Maybe you fell off the bed.
No, I did not fall off the bed.
How do you know?
I did not fall off the bed.
Just a minute, Ms. Kaleem. What you're telling me is that you were so drunk that you had no idea how you got bruised on your face. Is that what you're telling me?
I did not say that I was so drunk. We were drinking that night.
Just a second. No, just a second. If somebody hits you 3 times, severely enough to cause injuries, which you're going to show me in a second,
right,
and you don't remember how that happened, but you're surmising that from the photographs it came as a result of being hit 3 times, what you're telling me is that you don't remember being hit. Is that right? And if you don't remember being hit, you don't remember being hit because you were too drunk. You report him to the police?
No, I didn't.
Just a second. Is there any reason why somebody who has, can I have those pictures? Somebody who has this kind of injury that you claim was as a result of getting beaten by him doesn't report this to the police?
His cousin called me 2 days later. Terrence is sorry, please don't press charges on Terrence.
I'm not interested in that, and I'm not even hearing that.
Okay.
It's hearsay, it's meaningless,
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Okay.
You have that witness here today? That person who told you that he was
That's
sorry
his
he hit
cousin.
you?
I don't talk to anybody.
Listen to me. Do you have that person here today, Miss Colleen?
No, I don't.
Good, then I'm not interested in what they have to say. Well, this certainly, Bird, do you think, and I want you to just take a look at this, you think that this mark could have happened if you fell off a bed?
It's possible.
Yeah, sure, anything's possible. All right, Mr. Bradford, tell me what happened.
When she came around my house, she was already a little drunk. So I said, let's go to the store get some more beer.
That was a smart thing to do. That was initially a smart thing to do, sir. So she was already a little drunk, and you said, let's go get some more. Is that right? Shh,
Yes, ma'am.
please. How old are you?
27.
The future of America. So she's already drunk. You said, let's go get some more beer, and I assume that you went in her car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you tell me in your answer. You got in her car. She was already drunk.
Yeah.
And you drove to get some more beer.
Mm-hmm.
Who drove?
I did.
Who drove?
Did I drink? Oh, I forgot. Did you? I don't know. I
See,
did
he's
drive.
lying. He's lying.
Miss Colleen.
What I'm lying
Miss
about?
Colleen.
Lying
I don't want to
about
hear you.
everything.
I'm enjoying this,
Lying.
please. Go ahead.
After we got the beer, we went out Huntersville, on my old
You
neighborhood.
went what?
So after we got the beer, we went out Huntersville. It's a neighborhood. I used to stay out there.
What did you do? Just stay in the car and drink, or you went to friends?
Yeah, went to a friend's house. Went to his house.
Okay, so you went to his house and you were drinking. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. We out there. We still drinking out there. After we get finished drinking the 40s, we started drinking some liquor. Then Nita started wilding.
She started what?
Wilding.
What is that?
Acting crazy.
I'm crazy.
Right. That I understand.
So I was telling her to calm down because the security guards out there. Oh, they calm down, Nita. They're gonna arrest you. So I threw her in the car, then went back to my house. I told my mom that she was in there breathing heavy. And then we went outside on the porch because I said she needed some air. And then she just snapped. Then I told her, I said, look, just get your stuff and go home.
So you're going to put her in her car, being as drunk as she was, and send her home?
Oh, she started snapping on me for nothing. I don't know why.
Can I say something?
No. Could you finish, please?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you would look like you were taking a nap. Get to how, if you know, she got these marks on her face. Would you tell me, please?
Okay. I threw up against the wall.
Okay.
Then I told her to go home. Then I was walking out the door. Then she threw a bottle at me. I did it, then I hit her.
Where did you hit her?
In her face.
Is that the black eye she had?
Yeah.
Now, how'd she get this mark on her forehead?
I hit on the forehead, too.
Okay, good. And what did she do to you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
She threw the bottle at me.
She threw a bottle at you. What
Yeah.
kind of a bottle did she throw at you?
A 40 bottle.
Do you have any recollection of that?
Ma'am, no. I never went out on the porch that night.
You were drunk.
We were in the bedroom. No, we were in the room watching TV and we were drinking. We had just came back from Huntersville that night. I
Miss
agree
Colleen,
with that.
listen to me very carefully. Don't get drunk. How old are you?
22.
You don't get
23
drunk?
now.
Don't get drunk.
Okay.
That's the lesson. He got drunk. You got drunk. You don't remember what happened to you. He's honest enough or slow enough to tell me that he hit you 3 times, all right? That's honest. He hit you 3 times because he said you threw a 40 bottle at him. Well, that's really no excuse for hitting you 3 times. Maybe a push to get your way if you're drunk, but he was drunk too.
I mean, he wants to get drunk and be hitting on people for no reason because I couldn't breathe or whatever. That doesn't make any sense.
Where is your responsibility in all this? He's an idiot.
I don't have any responsibility in any of this. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh,
if
listen
we're
to me.
friends and we go out
My
and
mouth
drink.
is moving, your mouth has to stop. Your responsibility to yourself as an adult is not to get so drunk so that you don't know what you're doing. You do have a responsibility. Because if he did, in fact, assault you when you had no responsibility, then you would have called the police and made a complaint and he would have been arrested for assault because that's what he did. And the reason that you couldn't do that, even if you had wanted to do that, is because you were so drunk that you have no self-induced. He didn't order you to drink. He didn't compel you to drink. He didn't get you down on the floor and use a funnel and funnel it into your mouth. You went to his house on purpose for the express purpose of drinking. And I believe everything he says, that you did arrive at his house already having consumed alcohol.
Okay, can I say one thing?
No.
He called 2 days later.
What part of no didn't you understand?
How's he going to apologize?
What part of no didn't you understand? Because he's stupid and called you to apologize.
He agreed that he was going to pay for my medical bills.
Good, he should pay for your medical bill.
For my one
Good.
day.
Just a second. He should pay for your medical bill. Did you agree to pay for a medical bill?
Yes, ma'am. I told
Yes, you did. Good. And what was your medical bill?
$159.
That's what he's going to pay. Judgment for the plaintiff.
He
in the amount
agreed,
of $159.
no, he agreed to pay for this
outside.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stewart versus Cobb. Step forward, please.
Store manager Sandra Stewart is suing dietary aide Lynn Cobb for damaging her rental truck when she beat it with a stick. Lynn says she caught Sandra with her boyfriend.
All right, Miss Stewart, one evening you were sitting in a truck that you had rented. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning?
After 3.
And you were sitting in your truck with the handsome and affable Bruce, who happened to at that time have been her boyfriend.
Correct.
You didn't know her?
No.
And according to your complaint, Miss Cobb is out looking for Bruce and finds you and Bruce sitting in your rental truck.
Correct.
And proceeds to go ballistic on your truck.
Correct.
Hitting it with a stick and causing a whole bunch of damage for which you are responsible to the rental company, and they are billing you some $624. And you want Miss Cobb to pay.
Correct.
Miss Cobb says she didn't hit your truck, she just hit you. So tell me when this was and what you were doing sitting with the handsome and affable and I see absent Bruce.
Right. It happened on August the 31st of this year at my job. I was working for the Star and Press. My position was a field rep. I come in at 1 a.m., Bruce comes in at 3 a.m.
So you're like a dispatcher of newspapers?
Correct.
Okay, so go ahead.
Bruce comes in about 3:15. 5 or 6 minutes after Bruce was in the truck with me, we hear this little noisy car. A couple seconds later, this automobile pulls up in the tunnel, because we're in the tunnel. She jumps out of the car. I don't know what she...
the defendant.
Right. She comes over to the truck and she says something to Bruce. Something about out all night long or something. I looks over at Bruce and I ask Bruce, who the F is this? Bruce, who is this? Well, she has this stick that is probably the length of this table right here. Nice size. It's like a tree branch. It once used to be a tree branch, but it's been shellacked and fixed up all kind of pretty, like a walking stick. She jabs this stick into the truck a couple times, babbling something. Don't know what she was saying.
Through the passenger door? Through the
driver's door. I'm in the driver's seat.
Oh, you're in the driver's door.
Right. Bruce gets out of the truck from the passenger side. He gets out of the truck. He walks around the front of the truck. Well, she said, "You the one that my husband spent the night with?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" Our bags out of the passenger seat, out through the passenger door, backwards. She says at the back of the truck, "Itch, I'm gonna do this, itch, I'm gonna do this." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She says something about, "My man stayed all night with you last night." And I was like, "Your man ain't stayed all night with me. I have no clue what you're talking about or who the F you are."
Go ahead.
Bruce goes toward her. She swings this stick, and it hits the back of the truck, the top part of the truck. It hits the back of the truck.
Bruce, did she ever hit you?
No.
Never hit you? Did she ever hit Bruce?
No, she swung at him the first time with the stick, and that's where she hit the truck. She didn't hit him.
Did she eventually get back in her car?
Bruce tackled her some kind of way and kind of threw her in the car to where she was on her backside. Bruce was on top of her. She puts the car in drive that she's driving. She runs over Bruce's foot. She puts it back in reverse. She hits him, knocks him down, comes back forward where he has sit down flat, runs over his leg, tries to get out of the tunnel, couldn't get out, hung a U-turn and come back the other way to get out.
Was an ambulance called?
Yes, for Bruce.
Was he taken to the hospital?
No, he wouldn't go.
He's been run over 3 times, according to your story.
She ran over his foot, she hit him, knocked him down, came back forward, across him.
Okay, let's go.
I did not hit her truck. We was running around the truck.
What were you doing there?
I came to see who he was with.
Why?
Because I wanted to know.
You married to him?
No. But we've been together 11 years. I wanted to know.
Why were you angry with her?
What she's not telling is that I had called him on his cell phone, and we had our talk or whatever. He didn't turn his cell phone off. So I heard the whole conversation of what was going on, blase school, blase school. Okay.
So, what are you mad at her for?
I was mad at both of them.
What are you mad at her for?
Because she was with my husband.
Just a second. A, you don't have a husband.
Well, she was with my boyfriend.
Well, so you be mad at him? How do you know
I'm
what he
mad
told
at
her?
him too.
How do you know what he told her?
Okay.
How do you know what he told her?
I don't know what he told her then.
Right, so what are you mad at her for?
Okay, I'm not mad at her then.
And where did Bruce go on the 31st of August?
He went to work, I guess.
And did he come home?
Yeah, eventually.
So the two of you made up?
We made up eventually, but, you know.
He came home?
Yeah, he came home.
Can I see the damage to the truck, please?
And Judge Judy, there's another automobile, my truck, she damaged Monday night, this Monday night.
Just for my information, where was your car or truck that you damaged this past Monday night?
I stopped at my sister's before going home to get things together. It's like 8:45 p.m. Went into my sister's house, came back out about 5 minutes till 9. She approached me from behind this building. I had my 2-year-old by the hand. She walked in front of me. She says, "Now what? Now what? What about tomorrow?" I called my sister's name because she always watches us go to the automobile. I said, "Lauren, come get my baby." She stepped right out of the door, grabbed my baby. "Sandra, what's wrong?" I said, "Just get my baby." Then she sees Lynn. She says, "No, you got somewhere to go. You got a plane to catch. Come on in the house. We're going to call the police." When I come back out with the baby, after I gave the report with the police, come back out to get the baby, the police is in the parking lot next to my Ford Explorer, says, "Sandra, look, my tires are cut and my truck is keyed."
I'm not going to ask her to respond to that because this is a complaint that's still open. But I certainly think that if it's true, Ms. Cobb, if any part of it is true, that if you even saw her on Monday night, you're making a big mistake. Because you want to know something? Old Bruce isn't worth it.
Sure ain't.
I just want you to think. You have children?
Yeah.
How old are your children?
My children are grown.
Well, your grown children don't want to have to come and visit you in a lockup.
Right.
Ms. Cobb, I have to make a judgment, and I have to make a judgment that if someone is angry enough to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, go out in their car and search for their boyfriend, who they believe has been fooling around with somebody else, and they find them in a truck, that if I am to believe you, did absolutely nothing as a result of that. Now, Miss Stewart would seem to me is a relatively normal person. If you had hit her with this stick, as you suggest, rather than hitting your truck, there is no way that the police would have let you go. So I have to make a judgment whether I believe that you did nothing. And I don't believe that you did nothing. I believe that you did something. And I believe that you damaged the truck that she was driving in. Now, the rental car company is charging her for these marks that were made on the truck, $624.65, and I believe that you are responsible for that. And I'm going to reiterate, Ms. Cobb, you don't seem like a bad person.
I'm not.
I don't know whether Bruce is a bad person, but all I can tell you this, Bruce isn't going to be standing before a judge. You are.
Right.
Is he worth it?
No.
Good. Goodbye.
Now, this is case number 264 on the calendar in the matter of Cochran versus Marsh. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Cochran, according to your complaint, you and the defendant had dated for a period of time. You became ill and were hospitalized for a period of 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
When was that, sir?
August 30th.
It is your claim, sir, that Miss Marsh, during the time you were hospitalized, took your bank card and withdrew some $1,700 from your bank card without your permission.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you started to complain to her about taking the money after you were released from the hospital, you then claimed she filed false stalking charges against you. You were arrested. You were forced to wear a bracelet, an ankle bracelet monitor, which you had to pay for.
Yes, Your Honor.
And in total, you are suing her for some $3,000 because you say that these charges were false.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So let's start with the hospitalization. What were you hospitalized for, Mr. Cochran?
My doctor said I was under a lot of stress from working a lot. I took a vacation to get away, but it didn't do no good.
So it was a psychiatric hospitalization?
It was behavioral medicine.
Were you self-admitted, or did someone admit you?
They took me by ambulance.
From where?
From McDonald's, where the defendant works.
What happened? Did anything happen in McDonald's?
I felt kind of hot and felt like I was going to faint, and they said I fainted in front of the counter.
But there wasn't a scene or anything there?
No.
Now, how did you get custody of his bank card?
When Paul was admitted to the hospital, he had bills that needed to be paid. His father brought the bills to him at the hospital. He told me to come up. He needed me to take care of his finances. Paul, myself, and the psych tech had to go to security for Paul to release the bank card, the bank number, and details as to what I was supposed to do for him. Yes, Your Honor, I did withdraw the money, which I have proof of, to pay his bills. I have the bills that I paid for Mr. Cochran.
Can I see them, please?
These are the withdrawals. These are most of the bills that I could gather up. That's about like $900 and some worth. And I also have the bill where he said he loaned me $300, that I deposit $300 into its account.
Are you saying you paid $300 of your own bills out of his money?
Yes, I did.
You have a letter indicating that it was with his permission that you paid $300 worth of your bills?
No, I don't have a letter.
Then you can't pay $300 of your bills using his money.
Okay.
Ms. Marsh, because if Paul is there for a psychiatric hospitalization,
okay,
you don't do anything with regard to your problems.
Mm-hmm.
You only deal with his problems if you're being a friend.
I did that, and I replaced the $300.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is what I was...
Okay.
There's it right here.
When did you replace the $300?
On 9/5/01.
What did he buy on his Zales account? A jewelry store?
He had bought a ring for me. He had bought like a necklace for me.
Did you buy gifts for her?
Yes, Your Honor, but I paid cash for him before we went on vacation to Orlando. There was only one bill that was paid while I was in the hospital, and that was $209.
Capital One bank credit card, $30, $83. Sprint cell phone?
That was her cell phone, Your Honor.
How do I know these are his bills?
Well, because we both had buddy phone bills. I have those.
You paid Sprint $125, and then you have another money order receipt that you paid Sprint $83.15.
Mm-hmm. For the 2 cell phones.
Well, why were you paying your bill from his account?
Because that's what he told me to do, Your Honor. He said...
No.
Because the phones were in his name.
No. But he's not using them. You had one phone. Who's doctor? A dentist?
I had to have a tooth extracted, and $70, yeah.
So why are you giving me this bill as a bill that you paid for him?
That was one that shouldn't have been in there, but okay.
So I got a Sprint bill that shouldn't have been in there? I got a jewelry store bill?
That's part of the loan, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
Can I see how much money was taken out of your account?
It was showing there what was deposited and what was withdrawn the same day, the $300.
All right, now, Miss Marsh, when he got out of the hospital, what happened?
Paul wanted to continue dating, and I told him, I said, Paul, too much is going on. I just don't think it's going to work out between the two of us. And that's when Mr. Cochran started stalking, and...
He didn't say anything to you about the money that was taken out of his account?
No, ma'am. He never said anything about the money. This issue came up after the breakup.
Your Honor?
Yes.
The day I got home, I received a bank statement showing the withdrawals, and I called her and asked her why she withdrew the money from my account without my consent.
And what did she say?
And she hung up on me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have they advised you to be under psychiatric care?
No, Your Honor.
Have they advised you to be on medication?
No.
I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Cochran.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul Cochran Jr. says ex-girlfriend Odella Marsh stole money from his bank account while he was in the hospital. Paul says when he was released, Odella had him falsely arrested for stalking.
Now I want to hear about this bracelet. Why did you have to wear a bracelet, sir?
I went to the police station on the case on the bank account.
Okay.
I was arrested in the police department on a warrant by the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department in our town to say that I was stalking her, intimidating her, and invasion of privacy.
Were you doing that?
No, ma'am, I was not.
How was he doing that, Ms. Marsh?
Mr. Cochran was phoning my house. He was creating problems on my job to where they fired him out from off of my job. And he came up to the job one day, just radical. He had, that day he had the gun with him. And I left and I have witness, I went to the police department and I just was filing.
Do you have the papers from the criminal court which ordered you to wear the monitoring bracelet?
Yes, I do.
And the certificate of
I have
disposition?
everything.
I have
I'd like to see the papers, please.
Okay,
I
here's
got the arrest warrant and everything.
here's everything contrary. Okay?
His, hers.
Thank you. What happened when you appeared in court on July 15th, 2002?
When I appeared in court on that day, his case was dismissed because the last incident where I had to use the panic button, of which I had a device that I carried in my car every day, which was ordered by the court, and also had a panic button that I was to keep on my persons at all times. Mr. Cochran was out by the apartment building, and the machine didn't go off. That stunned me because it's supposed to pick him up.
Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
On July, they said that there was several false police reports on the incident, so the prosecutor and the judge dismissed it because of false police reports. The prosecutor checked in on it, which the monitor will pick up if I come in with 500 feet. On the day that she hit the panic button, I was not in the area. Somebody else was driving my car at the time to see if there was a false police report being made. That's why the case was dismissed. There was an undercover police officer driving the car.
Your Honor, I have a witness that knows how Paul reacted during this time.
May I speak, ma'am?
Sure. Who are you?
I'm a coworker of hers.
Go ahead.
I was the one who called 911 when he had the seizure in the lobby. I was the one who barred him permanently from our store because he had come in to talk to her after he had gotten out of the hospital.
What happened when he would come into the store?
He would try to talk to Odella, and she did not want to speak to him, and she had told him that before. And I simply said, things are not going well. Please leave her alone. If you cannot behave like a gentleman, you can no longer come in here.
Did he not behave like a gentleman when he came in?
He was loud, and he stayed for hours, would not allow her to do her job.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have friends that went there, you know, older guys. I've been going to that place ever since the day it opened up, and I never, ever harassed or anything. I just...
No. Listen to me, sir.
Yeah.
You were asked not to go back.
I didn't go back after the day I left the hospital.
Yes, he
I
did.
never returned.
Yes, he did. I asked him not to come back, and a week later he came back again, and Odella was there, and he wanted to talk to her, and she did not want to speak to him, and that is when I permanently barred him from the store.
So he came back one other time?
He came back another time after that.
When was that?
A week to 2 weeks after that. The first thing I did was call Odella, and I said, he does not look right. He had the same look he had the morning that he passed out and had the seizure on my floor. Please be careful.
Did you ever see him with a gun?
No, I did not. But I am the one who encouraged her to get the restraining order, and I am the one who had her make copies of the receipts.
The copies of the receipts are...
Apparently they're not doing any good, but...
They're not doing any good because they're all not his bills. You're going to get the money back that was taken from your ATM because she can't establish to my satisfaction that she used that money for your benefit.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You are not going to get back the money for having been forced to wear a bracelet because I believe this lady when she tells me that you were in her place of business when you were told that it's not a good idea for you to be there. And my sense is that you were frustrated. I don't know why, either because you still cared for the lady or because you were angry over the money or whatever reason, but that you didn't do the right thing, and she was afraid because you weren't exactly right. Are you on medication now?
No, Your Honor.
You're not?
No.
Are you under any psychiatric care right now?
No, Your Honor.
Have they advised you to be under psychiatric care?
No, Your Honor.
Have they advised you to be on medication?
No.
I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Cochran. In any event, I'm going to get back the money from your ATM card, but not for the electronic bracelet, because that was probably necessary. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,700. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was filing false police reports and trying to intimidate me, making me look bad and her look good.
He became just a maniac.
I hope people that see this realize what women can do to you. You know, they can clean you out.
Hopefully this is over. Paul will move on with his life and just leave me alone.
Model Amanda Van Geertree is suing the father of her child, retail clerk Robert Harris, for smashing her car window with his fist, injuring their daughter.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 274 on the calendar in the matter of Van Geertree versus Harris. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Van Geertree, you and the defendant have a child together. The child is a couple of years old. It is your complaint that about 2 years ago, there was an incident with Mr. Harris, and you haven't been together since that incident, according to you. And there was an argument. You got into your car. Your daughter was in the car. It is your claim that Mr. Harris purposely broke the car window, causing the window to shatter all over you and your daughter, caused her to be injured, caused you to be injured, and caused the car to be damaged. Is that your complaint?
As a result of him hitting the window, it happened.
Mr. Harris says that the whole incident was your fault. What happened was an accident. He would never intentionally try to hurt his child. And this lawsuit is motivated by something entirely different. Is that right, Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to tell me how old your daughter was 2 years ago when this incident happened.
11 months old.
Tell me about it.
When we were walking back to go to the washrooms.
Just a second. I don't know washrooms. Where were you? What were you
At a
doing?
company picnic. And we were going to the washrooms, and his sister's ex-husband or somebody that he wasn't happy with was going to pick up the baby and stopping us and everything, and he went on walking and left me standing there giving me a dirty look that this person was holding our child. And I noticed he was drinking hard liquor, and he would not come out. And when he did come out, I said, I want to leave.
You're going all over the place. You were at a company picnic. You decided you wanted to leave.
I'm nervous right now.
Okay. Sorry. You were at a company picnic. You decided you wanted to leave.
Yes.
What happened when you told him you wanted to leave?
He started yelling at me to give him the keys, and I was saying, no, I want to just go and get away from this situation because I see you're drinking. I'm just leaving. I want to take the baby and go home. And he said, give me the keys, give me the keys.
What keys?
The keys for the apartment. I was staying with him at the time. I gave him the keys back, and I was going to leave. He was telling me he wanted cigarettes that were in the passenger side seat, and he was pointing to them when the windows were up and I was going to pull out. And I said, no, you're not getting it, and I was going to drive back.
Okay, so he saw cigarettes that were in the car.
Yes.
That were his, and he said, I want them.
They were mine.
They were yours?
They were mine.
But he said, I want them.
Yes.
And you said you're not going to get them, and you started to leave.
He said, no, through the window. And I started pulling out, and that's when he went like this.
And he
hit
slapped?
My car. I don't know if it was open hand or what. He went like this with the anger face. I looked at his face. And that's when the glass shattered.
Glass on which window?
On the passenger side front window next to me. Shattered in like 1,000 pieces. And I turned around. I was wearing glasses at the time, so it didn't get me. It got my arms a little bit, but not bad. I looked back, and my baby was bleeding really bad. And I couldn't help but be hysterical. And he threw the keys, and I was trying to run him back to get the baby out of the car seat. And I was screaming, she's bleeding, she's bleeding. He just kept on walking away. And he didn't care. He just went over to the side.
Okay. You got the baby out of the car seat, right?
Yes.
And the baby went to the doctor or hospital?
I signed a waiver not to have the ambulance in Itasca, Illinois, to take the baby. I was taking her to a hospital by my mom's house, and I rushed her to the hospital there.
In your car?
In my car, yes.
So you got the glass, you cleaned the glass up?
I couldn't clean it all up. They tried while we were in the ambulance.
Okay, where was he?
He was being taken by the police, talked to, and put in the police car. I have police reports.
Can I see the police reports, please?
On the right side is this police report. This previous police reports of his battery was on the left. And I have doctors.
I just want to see this incident. Okay, when your daughter was ultimately taken to the emergency room, she needed some stitches according to your complaint. Is that right?
Yes.
Can I see?
That, please. But, I mean, doctor's records and bills. The bills are in the front, and the old papers, the doctor's forms at that time were in there from the stitches being put in and removed.
Okay. Did you pay these bills?
No, I wanted him to be responsible for them.
Did you pay the bills?
No,
The
I
answer is
haven't
no.
paid
Do
them
you
yet.
have any insurance?
No, I don't.
Okay, Mr. Harris. I'll hear you, sir.
All right, on July 7th, my mother had a company picnic, and I was with Amanda, and we went, and I saw my sister, and we said hello to my mother and everyone as they was playing bingo. I told Amanda I had to go to the washroom, and she wanted to come with me, and I had, of course, my daughter, okay, and I met with my sister and her brother-in-law as we was going towards the washroom, and Tommy saw my little daughter, and he went to grab her, and they was talking. So I said I had to use the washroom. I don't want to stay and wait, and you know that was my brother-in-law. I don't have nothing against my brother-in-law to watch my daughter, or to be with my daughter while I go use the washroom. She stayed over there arguing with them, saying that
She wanted to leave.
right, she wanted to go to the
I don't care
washroom.
why.
She wanted to go to the washroom too. That's what I'm saying. So I had to go. I wasn't going to wait for her. I left and went to the men's room. All of a sudden, I come out of the washroom and she said, "Why you leave me out here?" You know, yelling this. "I want to go home. You son of a goo-goo." You know what I'm saying? All type of curse words. So I'm like, I went in there with my nephew. I could see if I was in there with another girl, you acting like this. You know, then she's like, "I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go." So we was walking out to her car, and I told her to hand me my house keys. Because I feel like I don't want her going in my house, because she went in my house on one incident and took some stuff out of there that, you know what I'm saying? So I like, no, give me my house keys. She didn't want to do that, so eventually she gave the keys. And as I went around, I seen my cigarettes on my side, where I was pointed at my cigarettes on the passenger side. And I said, "Man, I want my cigarettes." She said, "No, no." And I said, "Man, give me my cigarettes." She said, "No, you son of a," you know, once again. And she put the car in reverse, and I seen her feet was about to step on the paddle. So I jumped back. And when I jumped back, I had a bracelet on it, and that hit the window. It hit a metal piece on it, and I guess it hit the center of the window, and it broke the glass. I was in shock. And at the time, I didn't know my daughter was bleeding until I walked around, and my sister said, "Bobby, your daughter bleeding." I said, "What?"
Okay, I got it. I got it. Do you visit with your daughter, sir?
Yes, I get her every other weekend. And it was supposed to be during the summer. Right now, I'm going for full custody of my daughter.
Why is that?
Amanda has a serious drug problem. And she even tried to commit suicide just over a year ago by trying to OD. And actually, she's very unstable for the time that I've known her. She always have excuses of why she can't get things done. She
You have a drug
right now
problem? No.
that drug problem, Your Honor, left my daughter in DCF care about 5 or 6 several times. And every time
Your daughter ever been in foster care?
No.
because
Ever
of
been
my,
out of your custody?
No.
yes, she had when she tried to kill herself.
when
I got custody of my daughter.
For a couple weeks.
That was like for a whole month almost. This happened in 2001 in February, so I had it like almost up until the end of March. And I took full responsibility. She swears to God that I have a drinking problem, but when I took full responsibility of my daughter, there was no drinking. I was picking her up and taking her, dropping her off to the babysitter, making her work on time, doing a responsible thing.
Did you plead guilty, sir, to disorderly conduct?
Yes, I was acting in a manner of, you know, anger. I was like yelling and stuff like that.
You were?
That's the only thing I played, but I didn't plead on all the other charges was dropped.
Yeah, I don't think you intentionally hurt your daughter, sir.
No, I did not.
I don't think you intentionally hurt her at all. Neither does she think you intentionally hurt her.
No, I didn't try to break that window neither.
I don't know whether you tried to hurt the window, but you hurt the window, right?
Right, it happens.
Right?
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Well, you mean he was selling drugs or using them?
Well, I saw there was money on her bed, and it was a large sum of money, so I knew he was dealing with it.
So then both of you smelled it and he was selling it, right? Smell and sell.
Yes.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amanda Van Geertree says ex-boyfriend Robert Harris smashed her car window with his fist, injuring their daughter inside. Robert says it was a freak accident.
You've been arrested before for domestic violence?
Yes,
Problem is not an answer.
Yes, I have.
How many times?
Once. Well, twice concerning this window being broke.
Your Honor, I have a picture of my daughter, the scar on her head.
I'm sure
If
Mr.
you want
Harris
to.
knows that there's a scar on your daughter's face. He didn't mean to hurt her. You don't think he meant to hurt her?
No,
Right?
but it is a result of his actions,
It's
and
a result of
I
his
shouldn't
bad
have to
temper.
pay for his actions.
You shouldn't have to pay for
Okay.
the medical bills that resulted from his actions. Isn't that right, sir?
Well, I feel like, no.
You feel
I
like
mean,
what?
I
Of
feel
course
like,
not. Of course she shouldn't have to pay for the medical bills that are as a result
Well,
of your actions.
Well, as I was telling you, when she put the car in reverse, she was about to, she stormed out, bagging up. I had to jump back. That's what caused the window broke. I didn't go up to the window and hit the window at all.
Listen to me.
the car didn't hit your arm hit the car.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes. It was all a freak accident. I guess you're right, then I should be responsible for paying it, you know.
Okay. I want to tell you something, Mr. Harris. You may be 100% right that you are the more appropriate custodian. You've got a hurdle to overcome, and that is these prior police reports. I'm
Yes.
sure that the judge who's handling the custody case will look at that and
Yes.
balance it with whatever problems you have and make a decision.
I just wanted to say, when she's talking about the medical bills and all that stuff, I'm like reliable for that. I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get the court to understand that I'm not out there just like angry and just doing crazy stuff.
I don't think
You
you're
know what
angry
I
and
mean?
doing crazy stuff. I think you lost your temper.
Yeah.
Your Honor.
I think you lost your temper, and that's what happens when you lose your temper. You're responsible for what happens as a
Okay.
result of that.
But Your Honor,
What?
about the 2 years, and what about the pain and suffering for Olivia, having to go for stitches and me having to hold her down and just
What about that?
for 2 years having to go to court?
What about that?
Because missing work because of him.
You break.
Thank you.
He's the father, just like you're the mother. There was an accident. It was caused by his bad temper. You don't bring the father to court because, let's say she was riding a bicycle. He was teaching her how to ride a bicycle, and he wasn't careful. And as a result of that, the bicycle went over, and she broke an arm. You think you can bring the father to court for the broken arm because he wasn't careful, because he was negligent in teaching how to ride a bicycle? We'd be in court all the time. That's what happens to young children. Now, this unfortunate incident happened because he lost his temper. That doesn't mean you bring a father to court for pain and suffering for a daughter. She's not any more your child than she is his. Do you understand that? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,111.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I guess now, by hearing Judge Judy ruling, I am kind of responsible for it.
I believe that this judgment was wrong. I think I should have gotten more.
I got a little daughter by, you know, a lady that's not stable, has a drug problem.
He didn't care. He walked away when she was covered in blood.
And right just for the show, she called me talking about she hoped that we can come out here and get things back together. And now she want to come here and cry, make me look like an angry person.
He just wants to hurt me some more. It won't stop.
I think that's just wrong, but that's how she is.
Yeah, this is case number 1 on the calendar in the matter of Walker versus Noble. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Walker, you and the defendant leased an apartment together. It is your claim that the defendant locked you out, she kept some of your property, and in addition, she showed around a private letter which caused you embarrassment.
Yeah.
The defendant says that you, in fact, broke the lease to the apartment. She is countersuing for your share of 4 months' rent. She said that she did not lock you out of the apartment. So when did you sign this lease?
It was September 22nd of 2001.
And how did you know the defendant?
I used to work with her, and we were friends.
So tell me when this problem started, around Christmas time?
It was around Christmas time, December 21st of 2001. I had received a phone call, 3 o'clock in the morning, from my mother, stating that she was sick and that she wanted me to come down there to be with her.
Where does she live?
She lives in Virginia.
Where is this apartment that you were living in?
It's in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
The only thing I took with me was my clothes. A few days later, my mom got better, so I was going to come home, and I received a phone call from Josie stating that I am no longer allowed in the house because she thought I moved out.
How many days later?
It had to have been like 4 or 5.
In the month of December?
In the month of December.
No.
Okay. Had you paid your share of December's rent?
Yes, I was paid up until January.
None of that is true at
Just
all.
a second, I'm going to get to you in a minute. All right, how much was rent?
It was $240. I paid $240 a month.
Josie, give me your version of what happened.
Let's see, December 20th, I spoke to him on the phone, and I asked him if he had his share of the rent money. And the whole month, I was letting him go with just giving me $40 a week, and we'll just take it up from there, and he'd make it up to me at the end of the month. And when I talked to him, he said that he spent his share on presents. And I never once said that he could never come back to the apartment.
Let's just get, you're getting ahead of yourself. You're getting ahead of yourself. Now, what happened? He said he left December 21st. What happened?
He left in the night. I never heard a phone ring at 3 a.m. I would have woken up. He would have woken up.
Well, who's he?
He is my my ex-boyfriend. He was there at the time.
Okay, I don't care whether you heard a phone or you didn't hear a phone. You woke up December 21st, and
I woke up. Well, he woke up to go wake Jamie up to go to work, and he found this note that Jamie left.
Can I see it, please?
That is not my writing.
Oh my God.
I have very sloppy writing. That is not my writing.
Do you have any other writing of the?
I have the
plaintiffs?
copy of the lease that he signed, and I don't know about that.
Well, but he's printing this.
There should be a signature one right above
I
my
see.
signature.
Oh, I see. Yes, you're right. I think you wrote this.
I did not write it.
I think you wrote this, Mr. Walker. I'm just looking at the way you not only signed your name here, but printed it on your lease. It's exactly the same as the printing on this. Yes, it is. Okay. So you left.
Yes.
What items do you claim that Miss Noble kept of yours?
Well, she has a computer.
Well, you wrote here the computer is yours too. You can have my last paycheck. Give this to Dawn as proof. And you also wrote the computer is yours too.
I did not give her the computer.
Well, that's what you wrote, sir.
But I didn't write that, I'm saying.
Oh, I think you did.
Well, she has a desk of mine too. A bed. She has some books, CDs.
And when did you try to get back into the apartment, Mr. Walker?
It was right after I got back.
Okay. And you're on the lease?
Yes, I am.
Then you should have been let back into the apartment. Did you go to the police?
No, I didn't know I could.
Of course you did. If you have a lease to an apartment, you're on the lease.
The landlord wouldn't let me back in there either.
No, you go to the police. Put your hand down. I didn't ask for you. You know that you can go to the police if you're locked out of your apartment. Come.
And they had the locks changed too.
So what? The police go, they knock at the door, they say he has a lease to the apartment, he has the absolute right to be here, to be to the apartment. You were ready to go home in a couple of days. You go home. So I don't believe you, sir.
He didn't go to Virginia. I have a receipt from my cousin who sent him money while he was in York, PA.
I don't care where he went. I don't believe him. You want to tell me the second part of your lawsuit, sir? Second part of your lawsuit is about a letter.
Yes. Miss Noble had gone through my room with all my stuff, and she had found a personal letter of mine, and she had given it to one of our co-workers, and in which in turn that co-worker had took that letter and spread it around work and customers too.
Tell me about that letter.
After he left that note, we waited a little while. He cleaned out the room, Jamie's room, and we found this little red binder that said, "Don't go through it." So we're going to go through it.
Of course.
And he found the letter, handed it to me, I read it, got a kick out of it, and the girl that I showed, he was going around saying that he slept with her, telling nasty stories about her, and it's like, she wasn't my best friend, but she was like a coworker, and it's affecting her reputation. So we invited her over, we showed her the letter, she said, "Can I keep it?" And I didn't care. And she kept it, gave it back, I don't know what I did.
That's why, Mr. Walker, if you honestly wanted to get back into your apartment, and I don't know where you went, because you had valuable things in there, things that you didn't want shown around, that's why you go to the police and you get all your stuff. When, for the first time, did you decide to get back your stuff?
It was right after I got back.
No.
Which was what month?
December.
In December?
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do?
I called her and
So
I
what
said,
did you do? Did you go to court in December? Did you go to court in January or February? What'd you do?
No, I waited because
Why?
she said she was going to take me to court first. And I never got anything back, so I filed
Why
the
should
case.
you? Listen to me.
Because she said she was going to.
Mr. Walker, you're not an unintelligent person, are you?
No.
You're locked out of your apartment, you go to the police, you say, "I have to get my stuff, my computer, my private
He was
stuff." I
never
went
locked out.
away in the middle of the night to help take care of my ailing mother.
He was never locked out. I didn't get the locks changed until about a month ago.
Not even,
And
like 2 weeks ago.
what happened was he left a note in my mailbox telling me to call him on a cell phone number, and I told him, "Why don't you just give me like $500 and I won't go to the cops and I won't go do all this stuff so I can get the rest of my money back, because I really wanted to avoid this."
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It doesn't give her the right to spread it around work. That's my personal information.
I showed a girl that you lied about.
And later today,
Show me. Well, what do you think you were coming here for? Waltz lessons?
No.
Show me where you had paid off the bills.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Walker says former roommate Josie Noble owes for the return of his belongings. Jamie also says Josie defamed his character.
Go ahead.
May I say something to that?
Who are you?
I'm Sarah, Jamie's friend. He's staying with me at the current moment.
Sure.
On the date that Miss Noble is talking about, when she had called, it is my cellular phone. She was really rude to me, ranting and raving about different things, saying that she was going to harm Jamie and that she was going to have
What did
people
she
after him.
say she wanted?
She wanted to talk to him. She wanted to talk to him now, and I said, well, he's unavailable at this moment. He had called her back, and they had talked about it for a couple hours, and
I was at work for a couple
It was
hours.
like an hour, approximately an hour.
Yes.
They had worked out to where she had said that he could not come get his things. She had also called me before on my cellular phone telling me that, wondering where he was at, and told me that he was not allowed to get his things and that they were hers now.
That was not what was said on the phone at all. At all. I called there and...
Whatever. I don't know what this letter said. I don't have this letter, unless somebody has a copy of the letter. Do you have a
I have
copy of the
proof
letter?
that it was about, what it entailed.
And it was left in your house?
It was left in the apartment, yes.
Right. Which I find that you left.
But that doesn't give her the right to spread it around work.
No, no,
That's
no.
my personal information.
May I say something?
I showed a girl that you lied about.
You
Yeah,
may
she
not.
was
It doesn't lend anything. Neither did her statement lend anything, but I thought maybe it might.
I was there a lot, like around through everything that happened, so.
Spare me, will you please? He is suing for the following: for the return of his property. What personal property? A computer?
A computer.
A desk?
A desk. A
You have
bed.
his desk?
He doesn't have a desk. All there was a little nightstand thing.
It's a stand.
And a bed. And a couple books were left.
Fine. Where are those things?
The stand is still in the apartment, the bed is still in the apartment, and the books are still there.
Great.
I have my
Great.
videos too, and my CDs.
What about his movies?
There were no CDs. There's probably like 2 movies I think I still might have, but no CDs. Not in.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is get the boyfriend to help you pack up his bed, his little nightstand, his books, and his videos. Pack them up. Put them out on the front of the house 5 days from today's date. He has 3 hours, from 12 to 3. If you're not there between 12 and 3 to get your bed, your nightstand, your books, and your videos, she has the right to get rid of them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now let's get to the issue of the rent.
Okay.
You left the premises, and I find that you had no reason to leave the premises. Even if she locked you out, you had the right to get back in there, and I don't find that she locked you out of the residence. So from the time you left in December until the time she found a roommate, you are responsible for half your rent.
Can I say something on that?
Yes.
Her ex-boyfriend now, he was living with us from the time that he moved, or that we moved into the apartment, until the time that I left, and after that, I know he was still staying there, as I know of.
When you moved in September, was he living there?
Yes.
So that you knew he was living there?
Yes.
So?
But
that was your arrangement in September. He didn't move in afterwards, right?
Right.
So stop complaining. You have to pay until she... Who was your new roommate?
She just recently moved out. She was my cousin's cousin.
And how many months did she live there?
4 months.
When did she move in?
Or 3 months.
When did she move in? I don't need her name.
March.
So the month of January and February, is that right? He wasn't there, and then you had a roommate in March. Is that right?
Because he was gone for 4 months before I got her to move in.
Doesn't sound right. $480 is what you owe her. Do you understand?
Yes.
However, we're holding the $480 until you get your property, which is going to be on the order. Do you understand?
I think she might have only been there for 2 months or...
Fine.
So
that's still only 2 months. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. I don't care whether you agree with it or not. Do you understand it? That's all.
But he was...
maybe I shouldn't have went to go visit my mother.
He's such a liar, and so is she. Nothing but a bunch of little lies, and I'm so glad that they're out of my life.
Yeah, this is case number 406 on the calendar in the matter of Coles versus Plunkett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Coles, how old are you?
19 years old.
Do you work?
Not at this time, I don't.
What do you do?
I was a student. I'm not doing anything right now.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
How do you know them?
I know Kunta Plunkett. I met him at a bar in the casino.
What's his first name?
Kunta.
Who was that?
That's me.
How old are you?
25.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a millwright.
What does that mean?
It's like a machinist.
You get paid a weekly salary?
Yes.
What's your salary?
About $700.
And what do you do for a living?
Construction worker.
You his brother?
Yes.
How old are you?
28 years old.
How did you meet her?
We met at the casino last year.
Did you go out with her?
Yeah.
How long?
About 7 months.
Did you go out with her exclusively?
Yeah.
So you didn't see anybody else?
I did not, no.
Okay. Now, Ms. Coles, it's your claim that these two gentlemen scammed you out of almost $4,000. And I want you to tell me how that happened.
Okay, it came about that he asked me one day.
Who's he?
Kunta asked me if I had a checking account.
I want you to look at me when you speak. If you had a checking account.
If I had a checking account. And I told him yes. And then he said he knew a way that I can get free stuff. And he told me how it was done.
Well, why don't you explain to me what he said to you?
He said that...
I want you to look at me when you're explaining this.
I am. He said that we could get free stuff by me writing my name in different signatures on checks, take them to the stores, write the checks.
What do you mean he told you write your name differently on the checks?
Like write your name on the checks differently.
So that you can then later say that it wasn't your signature?
Yes. Go to the bank after the checks went through.
Just a minute.
I'm sorry.
Okay. What were you going to tell them at the bank?
Let the bank contact me after the checks went through. And when the bank contacted me, let them know that I didn't write the checks. And he made it sound real good.
You mean like it was a good way of...
Like the bank would pay for everything. I wouldn't pay for anything. I was stupid.
Stupid? You knew that it was wrong. You knew it was wrong.
Not yes.
What do you mean not yes? What does that mean, not yes?
I mean, yes, I knew it was wrong, but I guess I wasn't thinking at the time, Your Honor.
Well, you better start thinking.
I did, right after it was too late.
So you went shopping with the two of them?
Yes, he asked me to buy some stuff for his brother, Arthur. His brother would pay me back.
No, he didn't.
Yes, ma'am, yes.
No, did you write checks for Arthur stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you wrote checks for Arthur stuff, it was your intention, Miss Coles, that the bank was paying.
But he told me he would pay me. No, he did.
Miss Coles,
okay.
Let me make this clear to you. Already you told me that you were a thief. Shh, please, this is not funny. Already you explained to me in detail why you were a thief. I don't want you to be a liar, too.
I'm not.
Because listen to me carefully. What you just told me, Miss Coles, was that you went along with a scheme to defraud the bank by writing your signature in different ways so that later you could disclaim that you ever wrote those checks, so that the bank would think that somebody got a hold of your checks
yes, ma'am.
And forged your signature so that he wasn't going to pay you back for the stuff because you weren't going to pay for the stuff to begin with. The bank was going to pay for it.
But, Your Honor, they told me he would pay me. He said he would give me something. And after it was done that weekend, I realized that what I did was wrong. And I went to the bank. I called an attorney. I told her everything that happened. And she advised me to go to my bank and talk to my bank manager. That's exactly what I did. And I stopped myself from getting in any more trouble. And I paid $3,363 of it off, and I'm still paying for it. And all I want is for them to pay for the merchandise that they have. I want them to take responsibility of what they did.
What they did was make a fool out of you.
Yes.
According to you, what they did was make a fool out of you, but you were a thief. You were a forger.
But I don't have a background of thief. I'm just a college student. I mean, I was doing good. I just want to go back to school and get my education. I don't have a background of stealing at all.
You did?
Yes, I did. And I learned my lesson. I just
all
want
right,
my money
now let
back.
me hear from you, the Plunkett boys.
You want to talk first?
Who you want to talk to first?
Whoever feels like talking to me.
Okay, well, first of all, her case is crazy. Well, she's crazy. But that weekend, she had told me she had cheated on me, and then I was like, well, I don't know about if I want to be with her or not. So I think that Friday, we ended up going shopping. She didn't say nothing about...
I don't want to hear from you now. And?
And, prior to that, I was...
Take a look at my eyes when we're speaking. Put your papers down.
I'm sorry.
Did you ever have a discussion with her, Mr. Plunkett, with regard to using various signatures on checks in order to defraud a bank?
No.
You think she made that up all by herself?
She must have. She's crazy.
No. Well, you were with her for 7 months, sir. When did you decide she was crazy?
Well, she looked up my criminal record. She was...
Was there a lot to look up, Mr. Plunkett?
I mean...
Please.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
No, it does. It matters.
That's my stuff.
Mr.
I mean,
Plunkett, pay careful attention to my questions.
yeah,
You had been arrested previously in what year?
92.
For what?
Drug selling.
Was that the first time, Mr. Plunkett, that you were arrested?
Yeah.
Shh, quiet.
No.
Let's take from 1996, Mr. Plunkett, forward. How many arrests do you have after 1996?
I had several. I mean, I really can't tell you. It was like minor stuff, driving on suspension. And
No,
stuff
I'm
like
not
that.
talking about driving with a suspended license. I'm talking about other things.
Felonies?
Felonies or misdemeanors?
That drug charge is probably the only felony that I had on there.
May I say something? I have
Just
a copy.
You have a copy of this
Yes,
arrest
ma'am.
record? Maybe it'll refresh his recollection. Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
That's how crazy she is.
I have pulled a copy.
That's not crazy.
I have both of theirs, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at that.
Okay.
Make it much easier for me. Oh, it's almost a novel.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't like you, Mr. Plunkett. The fact that you are not a nice person, the fact that you have absolutely no moral fiber, the fact that evidently it runs in the family because you got a brother who suffers from the same affliction. Total losers.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Cole says her ex-boyfriend, Kunta Kinte Plunkett, and his brother, Arthur, conned her out of thousands. Serena says the brothers were using her to run a bad check scam.
What were the arrests for false information, Arthur?
Giving the wrong name or something.
Or something.
I don't deny nothing, you know. I know I'm not an angel. I don't deny.
Sure aren't an angel, sir.
You know, I don't deny me having a history or whatever. I don't know the plaintiff.
Why, if you don't really know her, sir, why would you let her purchase things for you?
Well, things that I received from the plaintiff, I was under the intention that it came from my brother as a housewarming gift. I had just purchased a house. I didn't ask
What did you purchase for Arthur?
It's right here, ma'am.
Let me see what you purchased for Arthur.
It's both of theirs.
I want to see what you purchased for Arthur.
For me, she purchased a table and a mattress set from the Salvation Army.
You just said to me 2 moments ago she didn't purchase anything from me. Anything that I got from my brother.
Yeah.
Now you say to me she purchased mattresses and a table for you. Were you with her when she purchased it?
Yeah, we were together.
Yes.
My mother was with me also, and
I didn't ask whether your mother was there. I said, were you there with her when she purchased it?
yes.
So then you knew it didn't come from your brother.
No, I was under the intention that it did come from my brother.
I don't know what you mean you were under the intention. I have no idea what that means. Does that mean you were under the impression?
I was under the impression.
That's
Right.
better.
Exactly. When I just purchased the house, I didn't have a bed. And me and my brother had discussed I was needing a bed. He said, well, okay, I know where you can get a cheap bed. It may be used, but it's something for you to sleep on.
Yeah.
And so I'm the only one that had a truck, and she needed a ride. He was there with me also. And so he picked out the bed. It was just a used Salvation Army bed.
Who paid for it?
Serena.
Look him.
Yeah. Serena.
Why would she do that for you?
Because she was my brother's woman. Ex-woman.
So before you were mistaken, Arthur, when you said that anything that you got came from your brother, you actually were with her when she bought you a bed and a table.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, we were all together.
No, we were not.
Can't you just say yes?
Yes.
So you were together and she purchased it. Now you're telling me she purchased it for you because she's your brother's woman.
Yes.
So you know that she's your brother's woman.
Yes.
You know her well?
Yeah, I seen her at my brother's house. And
Have you ever been to her house?
yeah, I've been to her house.
So you know a little bit about her.
Fairly.
What does she do for a living?
She was a student, and
She was a student.
yeah, and
Right.
She
was a student.
Yeah, and some odd jobs or telemarketing, whatever she done.
And she lived at home, is that right?
Yes.
You're in construction. Where do you think she got the money to buy you a mattress?
According from what I heard, they were going to buy a truck, and it was his money included with hers.
For what you heard from whom?
From my brother. I just heard them talking about it. So I'm under the assumption that their money were together.
So why wouldn't your brother write a check out of his checking account?
Probably because the truck didn't go through. I guess he was getting his money out of it.
You think that your brother, who's got an arrest record as long as Bird's arm, is going to take the money that he earns as being a machinist and
give it to this 19-year-old to put in her bank account so that she could write checks? Is that what you think?
Yes.
He's going to take his money and give it to her? Because he's just a good guy.
I thought they were purchasing a vehicle together.
So you think that your brother took the money that he was earning and gave it to her and said, honey, I want you to put this money in your checking account that's only in your name. Look at him. He can't even, he said, me, I'm not that stupid. Huh? But you think he's that stupid.
Well,
What I want to know is, you think your brother is that stupid? Because he doesn't think he's that stupid.
Right. I don't go to the store and say, hey, let me see your checks, or let me see whose name is on it.
That's not what I'm asking you, sir.
Yeah.
You're not following what I'm asking you, Arthur.
Yeah, I never knew whose name was on it.
I'm asking you whether you think your brother is that stupid that he would take his money and give it to her and say, you put it in the bank in an account in your name.
No, I don't think he would give you something for just her name.
That's what I want. So he wouldn't be that stupid.
Right, he wouldn't.
Okay. So if he's not that stupid, then he would have a joint checking account with her, right?
Something joint.
So that when you went to the mattress place, he would have written a check.
Possible.
But he didn't.
Not that store.
Not that store. Where did he write a check
But
for you?
see,
sir? Arthur, in what store did your brother write the check?
He has a checking card, a check card.
Debit card.
Debit cards.
In what store did he use his debit card for you?
For himself, I've seen him use it on gas. I've seen him use it on.
She's talking about just.
Well, this incident, he doesn't have a habit of just going out buying things for me. It's just that
Arthur,
that case.
Arthur, your primary language is English, is it not?
Yes.
I am going to ask you the question again, because sometimes it takes you a couple of minutes to get it. On the day when you went shopping with the plaintiff and your brother to get stuff for your house, in what store did your brother use his debit card for you?
For me, none.
That's an answer, Arthur. You see how easy that is? Yeah. Now, you would like me to believe, sir, that these were gifts that she purchased for you because you found out, according to you, that she had cheated on you. God forbid, because you've never cheated on her, right? And she wanted to make that up to you by going out and spending thousands of dollars in this scheme that she concocted all by herself, because she's that smart, right?
Evidently.
Where's all this stuff?
The stuff she purchased, after finding this out, the total of mine came to about $200. I don't know where $1,500.
Shh. Okay, so it came to $200. So what'd you do?
I still got the bed and the table.
Did you give her back the money?
No, I didn't. It was a gift. I wasn't supposed to.
Well, then you found out that she had this elaborate scheme. Let's say it was her scheme. And she went to the bank immediately and she said, listen, I don't want to get into any more trouble.
Yeah.
So why didn't you just give back the stuff?
Well, I talked to her lawyer, and first it was like $1,200. Then it's just been going up, you know. So from there, I seen myself getting deeper and deeper, and I called my lawyers, and they told me if she doesn't have contract, if she doesn't have it on paper, deal with that.
And what'd you do with all the stuff she got for you?
Well, I got it. She brought me this shirt. She brought me these shoes. I mean, she brought my kids some stuff. I mean, she gave it to me as a gift. I mean, what am I supposed to do with it? I ain't giving it back.
When was the last time you were arrested?
Probably about 98. Maybe longer than that.
No, you're right, 98. You're more recent than that.
Yes. Never been involved with no check cashing, schemes.
No, crack, cocaine, robbery, firearms, knuckles, brass knuckles, possession by a convicted felon, filing false information, controlled substance.
All before the age I was 18?
No. You were arrested in 2002 on the charge of assault.
Yeah.
And how old? You told me you were 28, is that right?
Yes. That's domestic violence.
I mean, that doesn't count.
Yeah, of course.
Miss Coles?
Yes.
I've had a rather enjoyable time with these two. I will tell you that. They are two total losers.
I know that. I understand that.
Total losers.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Will always be.
Yes.
And there isn't much of a question in my mind that I believe that this whole scheme was probably Sir Lancelot's idea.
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Miss Coles? they're not going to pay a penny. You did it.
But they have the merchandise, Your Honor. I just want them to pay for the merchandise that they have. I learned my lesson.
Good.
I'm paying for.
Good. I'm glad you learned your lesson.
And I just want them to pay for what they have, Your Honor. I don't want them.
But for you, they wouldn't have anything, madam.
Thank you.
But I have a letter from my lawyer stating that they said they would reimburse me, Your Honor.
Let me take a look at the letter. Let me see what the letter says.
Is my signature on that letter?
What?
Is my signature going to be on that letter? I don't think it is.
Close your mouth. I don't like you, Mr. Plunkett.
Why,
The fact that I'm teaching her a lesson, you're a loser. Your brother's a loser.
Thank you.
That doesn't necessarily mean she has to be a loser forever. She's 19 years old. But for the fact that she embarked on a scheme to defraud the bank by herself, she wouldn't be in this pickle. She didn't have to listen to you. Somebody says to you, jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, let's see how it feels. They do it, then they're stupid. You're not responsible, she's responsible. The fact that you are not a nice person, the fact that you have absolutely no moral fiber, the fact that evidently it runs in the family because you got a brother who suffers from the same affliction, that's not something the law can deal with. Where's the letter?
I left it in my case.
Well,
I'm sorry.
It really doesn't make any difference.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a very tough lesson, Miss Coles. By the way, when you came home, you told somebody about what you had done?
Yes.
Who did you tell?
My sister.
And your sister said, you're going to go to jail. You better take care of this. Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right.
And I did take care of it. I was working 4 jobs to get out of this. And I just want them to pay for some of it. I mean,
that would be the right moral thing for them to do, to pay for some of it. That would be the right moral thing for them to do. They are amoral people.
I just want them to
They are without morals, Miss Cole. And you should have known that because you're not a stupid girl. Somebody tells you to fake your signature so that the bank is going to pay out money, and then you're not going to have to pay because you're going to fill out an affidavit that says that's not my signature, when in fact it was your signature. My 10-year-old grandson would know that that's fraud. What do you want from the courts? You cannot come into a civil court and say, I want what's right to happen, because in order to do that, you have to come in with what they call in the law clean hands. You have to come in and say, I did nothing wrong. They did something wrong. I have clean hands. They have dirty hands. Somebody who doesn't come into court with clean hands cannot ask the court for help. Do you understand that? If you don't understand, I've just explained it to you. Goodbye.
Parties. This is case number 318 on the calendar in the matter of Purdue versus Higgins. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Purdue.
Good morning.
Good morning. According to your complaint, sir, you gave the defendant rings pursuant to a relationship that the two of you were in.
Yes.
And she was living with you for a brief period of time, and you claimed that there was a promise that if the relationship did not turn out, she would give you the rings back. You claimed that the relationship did not work out, she left, and you don't have the rings.
Yes, ma'am.
The second part of your lawsuit is a claim for a small loan. I think it was $40-some-odd, yes, in order to permit her to get a restraining order against a boyfriend of hers who was supposed to be an abusive boyfriend,
yes, ma'am,
who she subsequently went back to.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want that money back.
Yes.
And Ms. Higgins says that she did not have a relationship with you, that she was really nothing more than a housekeeper for you, a housekeeper/companion, that the rings were a gift. However, when you said you wanted them back, she went over to your house and threw them in your yard. Is that
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
How long have you known her, Mr. Purdue?
Approximately 9 months.
Where did you meet her?
Met her in a bar. She was my buddy's girlfriend at the time I met her. And before the night was over, she was sucking my fingers and everything, wanting to...
Your Honor, that's a lie.
Listen to me. I don't want you to get into anything that I don't have to hear in order to make this lawsuit. Do you understand? There are certain things that I don't have to hear graphically. She was making advances towards you. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Within a week, she broke up with this guy, and she called me and wanted me to move her out of there and move her into my house.
How did she get your home telephone number?
I was more than anxious. I mean, I was a willing party at the time.
Okay,
You
go
know,
ahead.
I was impressed with her, and she was a hot number in my book. But within a week, she'd moved into my house. I tried to, lead a normal life and everything, but she just didn't have it in her. 3 days or so, and she'd be gone all night. Then she'd come back in the morning, smelling like a billy goat, and I'd kick her out, and then the telephone calls would come back again, and we're back in another relationship again. this girl needs help. She doesn't have a job.
No, she doesn't need help. You need help.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Tell me about the rings, sir.
Okay, I bought the rings in 1987 for my
what?
wife,
Mm-hmm.
and she's deceased of 3 years. And because Liz always identified so much, she told me, she says, I feel so close to your wife and everything. I know. Yes, I give her rings. And I told her at the time I gave them to her, because we had such a rocky relationship, we've been together and kicked her out several times. I've had the police drag her out from the door. Anyway, when I gave them to her, I says, because these rings mean so much to me, if this doesn't work out, I have to have the rings back. She agreed. We were engaged 3 days.
You mean when you gave her the rings, you thought that they were given as an engagement?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, did you ask her to marry you?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say to her?
I said, Liz, will you marry me? She says, yes. To me, that was a contract. 3 days later, she stayed out all night. I presume now it was with Ken.
This is the boyfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
This was the one that the $42 is about. But where was I now?
You were giving her the rings that were so sentimentally valid for you because you had bought them for your deceased wife in 1987, and you gave them to somebody who came home every third night smelling like a billy goat.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
That's where you were.
She just 3 days we were engaged. She goes out that night, spends out all night long. I don't know where she was or anything. I broke off the engagement. I'm driving her back to her mother's house. And she says, Bill, please let me have the rings for a couple of days. I says, why do you want the rings? She says, I want to save face in front of my family, my wife, my mother, and my kids. I says, okay, but I've got to have them back. You know, when I went to get them back, she absolutely refused.
Okay. And then she's going to tell me that when you said, give me the rings, I want the rings, I want the rings, she came over to your house and you threw them in the yard. Is that right?
What happened was he had started driving by my house and calling all the time. And one day he came over and all I had on was a T-shirt. He came in and he tried to hug me and he grabbed my breasts. At the time,
Would you get to the rings, please?
Okay, I was with Ken. Okay.
Good for you. Would you
Ken
get to
told
the
me
rings,
flat out,
please?
this is what he said. He said, I want you to prove that you're done with Bill Perdue officially, okay? So we got in his van, he drove, we drove by, and I threw the rings in his yard and called to let him know that they were there.
You're an idiot. All right. Strike you. Strike you. Now, let me go through this with you, Mr. Perdue. She told you at some point in between her going out in the evening that she had to get a restraining order against him. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you say to her?
I went with her down to the town court. We did file a temporary restraining order. I gave her the money. She filed it. A month later, you go back and make it permanent in front of a judge. But the night before, we'd gone out for a couple of drinks, and she started a fight for no reason. I've got no idea why she's so mad, but she's starting to fight. So I says, you know, you got to fight. I said, I don't care. But she said, okay, I'm going to court tomorrow by myself.
Your Honor, there was no argument.
Shh. I found out that she went to court. As soon as Ken walked in, they went outside for a long time. She came back in and dropped charges on that very day.
Fine, that still doesn't make this a loan, sir.
My
Mr. Perdue.
$42.
It doesn't make it a loan.
She asked me for the money.
Your Honor,
So
he told me he was giving me the money.
Miss Higgins, don't interrupt me. That doesn't make it a loan, Mr. Perdue. She asked you for the money. You gave her the money.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a gift. That's not a loan. So let's just deal with the rings. All right. Now, Miss Higgins, I want you to tell me your version of the rings.
Okay, he had bought these rings, okay? They were sitting in his house, okay, in a box. Finally, one night he comes and he says, you know, he looks right at me and he says, Liz, I know, and these are exact words, I know that you're probably never going to marry me, but I bought these for you. They're your rings. I took the rings. It's that simple.
So you were really nothing more than a housekeeper for him.
He and I...
Shh. That's what you say in your answer, that you took care of the house, you cleaned up, you cooked, and you were a companion. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So it was a job.
It wasn't necessarily a job. I mean, we were both benefiting from it. I was staying there and taking a break from my house, and my mom's handicapped, and I take care of her. So I was taking a break from that. And he was benefiting by eating and having his house cleaned.
So that it was a barter arrangement, but still a job. You got free room and board, and he got his house cleaned.
Right.
And his refrigerator replenished with cooked food.
That's right, Your Honor. I bought the groceries.
Shh. Then can you explain to me why he would say to an employee, you're probably never going to marry me, but I bought these rings for you?
Because
so you answer
that's the reason I left, Your Honor, because he started getting obsessive. And at one point in time, he started referring himself to me as Daddy.
Okay, let me ask you this question, Ms. Higgins. Do you believe that if you hadn't taken the rings and encouraged a relationship, if I believe your story, you say, no, I'm not, Mr. Perdue, I'm not taking these rings from you because you're right, I'm not going to marry you. I am your housekeeper. Do you think that he would have become obsessive?
He was already, before we had lived together prior to this, he had already become obsessive. See, I stayed with him for a while before. When he was telling you that he met me through a boyfriend I had at the time,
yes.
Okay? And I would invite him over at that time to cook meals for him, okay? Because I knew his wife had just died. I had heard all kinds of different things about him.
Okay.
So anyway, back then, he asked me to come and stay, okay? And he was missing home-cooked meals, and at the time, that's all he wanted, okay? And I was staying with him. Then he began wanting more, and he wanted sex and different things, and I moved out at that time, too. Now, this time he promised me it would be different.
Now, what prompted you, if he wanted all of these things, what prompted you to move back there?
Because we had been friends without me living there. We had just remained friends.
Is there any reason, Miss Higgins, why when Genius over here told you that he wanted to know that you were finished with Mr. Perdue once and for all, and according to you, you drove by the house and threw the rings in the yard, you couldn't do the civilized thing, which would have been to put the rings in a box, take it to the post office and mail it to him?
Your Honor, at that time I was very angry because the reason this conversation between Ken and I even started in the first place. In fact, can I call him up here, Your Honor, for this?
Oh, I would love to hear from him.
I can. But anyway, the thing is that I was angry because he was driving by the house and we were getting phone calls, and my kids had told me.
Why didn't you just give him back the rings?
Because my kids had told me.
Why didn't you just give him?
I didn't want to see him.
Why didn't you just give him back the rings?
He was obsessed with me, and I didn't want to see him.
You don't have to see him. Mail him back the rings.
I was extremely angry.
What were you angry about?
Because my kids had come to me and told me that he was trying to bribe my kids.
Why didn't you just return the rings?
I was angry, and I just went and threw them in his yard, and I called him, told him there they were.
Listen.
Because his threats, he was threatening that somebody was looking around for him to beat him up and everything else. And I was so fed up with the guy.
You want to say anything to me?
Yes, Your Honor. Her and I have had a rocky relationship, but the thing is, I'm tired of the phone calls from him. It's 7 o'clock in the morning every day. He's come in between our relationship enough times. He was a nice guy when I met him, but he got worse and worse, and it just conflict between him and I. He would kind of come by the house in the middle of the night.
You don't think that she's partially responsible for that?
I think they're both responsible for some things.
Fine, right. The fact that you are not sleeping with him, sir, doesn't mean that he's more responsible than she is. She took advantage
Your Honor,
of him.
I wasn't sleeping with him.
I didn't say you sleeping with him, madam. I said the fact that he's not sleeping with him.
Oh, okay.
You see, the reason he's angry with him is because why should he be angry with you? The two of you share a bed together. He says you're equally responsible. The two of you are equally responsible. Well, the reason he's mad at him instead of you is because he sleeps with you, and he doesn't sleep with him. Now, do you understand that? That may be confusing to you. Not you.
No, I
him.
understand.
Now, you understand. All right? So, they're equally responsible, but not really. She's more responsible. You want me to tell you why? Is your name Ken?
Yes, ma'am.
Ken.
Judge.
There's no fool like an old fool. He's an old fool. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Got a younger woman, makes him feel younger, makes him feel stronger, gets a little obsessive. She encourages him a little bit. She encourages him a lot because she's got to get away from one boyfriend, she moves in with him. She's got to get away from you because things aren't good, she moves in with him. She moves in with him, then she takes off and goes with you. She gets a restraining...
Your Honor, that's not
Quiet! She gets a restraining order, preliminary restraining order against you. She's saying, poor me, I'm a poor victim, everybody's abusing me. And she said a lot of things about you in order to get a restraining order, sir. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, it is.
What did she say about you in the restraining order? Did she say that you were abusive?
Yes.
Did she say that you were threatening?
Yes.
Did she say that she was afraid of you?
Yes.
Was all that true?
Parts.
Parts, but parts not?
Parts not.
Were you abusive?
At times.
Really? Were you physically abusive?
There was some pushing every once in a while.
Every once in a while. He never pushed her.
That's not what I was told either.
No, just a minute. A little obsessive, maybe. But didn't do half the things to her that you did. And then she made up some stuff along the way, according to you, when she made out that report, right?
I'd assume so.
What do you mean you assume so? You got a copy of it, sir. You read it, right? That's why you showed up in the courthouse that day. And when you saw it, Ken, did you say to yourself, she's lying about some of this stuff? She's a liar?
Well, see, I didn't ask her any questions. I had no contact.
Did you say to yourself, she's a liar? I never did that. On some of the stuff you did, right? So here we have two people on one side, and you now tell me that she's a liar.
I don't say fully
A liar! If you lie,
any way
if
you'd
you
like to put it, Your
swear
Honor.
to an application for a protective order under penalties of perjury, and you lie, that makes you a liar.
Yeah.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
She threatened my mother. She threatened all of my friends. She threatened to put antifreeze in my dog's food bowl.
You have to stop.
I have.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to stop.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bill Perdue says ex-fiancée Elizabeth Higgins owes for the cost of 2 heirloom rings. Elizabeth says she threw the rings into his front yard.
Listen to me. I find that these rings were given as an engagement gift in contemplation of getting married. And when Miss Higgins accepted it, she may not have been serious about accepting them as an engagement ring.
Yes.
She may not have been serious, but she led you to believe she was serious. I don't believe her story that she was the housekeeper and cooked you chicken every other Tuesday and Thursday and maybe a brisket on Friday. I don't believe that.
No.
And if she wanted to return them, then she does the reasonable thing. If she, in fact, returned them at all by throwing them in your yard, she puts them in the mail and returns them. So I don't believe she returned them at all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,850. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm very glad she's got a new outfit. She looks like a kind of little Catholic girl.
We were just true friends, and I truly believe that. I believed he was a good friend to me, but obviously I was wrong.
I think I'll probably start going to church now instead of hanging in the bars picking up women.
And now,
There we go.
and now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hoffman versus Birchfield. Step forward, please.
Grad student David Hoffman is suing his neighbor, demolition man Vincent Birchfield, and his wife Tara. David says Vincent's 14-year-old twins, Vincent Jr. and James, dented his car during a peach fight.
All right, Mr. Hoffman, it is your claim that the defendant's sons were fooling around and having a peach fight, which is throwing peaches at each other. And one of the peaches hit your car, causing a dent. You want the defendants to pay for that. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you neighbors?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and how old are these two boys? How old are you?
14.
It was good. They said that both together.
They're like
Why don't you have a seat? You sit down. Yeah, get them up. Where do you expect to sit on your lap? Get over here. Give me strength. Used to be worried. What did you want to be? An engineer, doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, right?
Right.
Right? Now you know what you're asking? Whether you want to be 15. What were you doing outside fooling around with peaches?
We were throwing peaches at each other.
Why?
Because we went outside and started throwing peaches at each other in front of our house.
Why?
For fun.
And where did you get the peaches from?
Peach tree.
Where was the peach tree?
In front of the building next to us.
Who did the peach tree belong to?
The owner of the building in front of us.
So you stole peaches from somebody
No, he said we can have peaches whenever we'd like them.
to eat
To eat or
to throw.
Yeah.
You think you're a wise guy? Let me tell you something. 25 years from now, where do you think you're going to be?
On a job.
Let's hope so. So let's not be a wise guy, okay? If somebody was nice enough to say to you, look, I have a peach tree, whenever you want a peach, go and take it, they meant for you to take it when you wanted something to eat, not for you to act like a moron and take them off the tree and throw them at each other. That be a fair statement, that that's what the person intended when they were being nice to you?
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
Or certainly you won't be an English teacher in 25 years. Were you throwing peaches too?
Yes.
My brother didn't throw any.
I
was
never
the
threw
one
any
throwing
peaches.
at him.
Hmm?
I was the one throwing them at him.
And what was he doing? He was trying
Running.
to catch them?
No, he was running away from him.
Were they ripe peaches?
No.
So they were hard peaches.
Yes.
How many peaches did you throw at your brother?
I threw about 3.
And who else was throwing peaches?
My friend David and Mason.
And was it at your suggestion that you go out and take the peaches?
Yes.
All right, so that fair statement is, under the law, you are responsible for their actions since you clearly got permission to take the peaches and you gave someone else the permission to take the peaches and throw them. And you say that one of those peaches hit your car, causing a dent.
Yes,
Did you
Your Honor.
see it?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I saw it occur.
Which boy did you see throw a peach?
They're twins, and it was difficult to tell, but I know one of these two.
They look different to me.
Well, they were, as my pictures depict, I was looking at my front window. When I heard a noise hitting the roof in my backyard, a carport, made a loud noise, my dogs alerted. I then went to the front window upstairs immediately, and I saw the peach fight in progress on the four corners. I live
Peach
on a,
fight?
Peach fight. It was pretty intense. I mean, they were ducking behind cars. They were up in the neighbor's yard, up on his hill, behind his tree. I mean, it was crossfire going everywhere. So I saw Peaches hit my car, and when I came downstairs, got dressed, came out to my gate, they were gone.
Oh, what is this picture of?
That's the dent from the Peach.
You want to say something?
I'll wait my turn, ma'am.
You may not have one.
Well, I'd like to say a lot of things, and that's not what he showed us where the dent was. He showed us a different car and a dent in his door on his car.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like to depict a few things. May I get up and talk?
Why don't you talk to your sons about how stupid they were?
Well, Your Honor...
Just a minute. Did you talk to your sons about how stupid they were?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good.
But, Your Honor...
I didn't ask you another
Well,
question.
he's
When I
leaving a lot of
asked you
things
another
out.
question, you weren't there.
Well, Your Honor, I came home.
Just answer my question. You were there or you weren't there?
Yeah, I was there.
You're a liar.
No, I was there after the Peach fight and I came home. Yeah, I was there and seen what happened.
Just a second.
I was there. My kids aren't stupid.
The peach don't fall far from the tree.
That's fine, Your Honor. Touche, you know, whatever you got to say, but if you don't want to
I'm
let
going
me
to
talk...
say it because if I say to you, sir, were you present when this happened? And
The
you say
incident,
yes and you
yes.
weren't.
The whole incident, I had been present in some of the incidents, some of the things that happened, yes.
Get him
when
out
I
of here.
came home.
Get him out of here, please.
No problem.
Are you the mother?
I'm his wife.
You guys, let's
Are you
go,
the
boys.
mother of these
We're out
children?
Here.
No.
We're out here.
You are not?
No.
Judgment for the plaintiff and the amount requested because he's taking his children out of here. There's no question in my mind they caused the damage. Judgment for the plaintiff
Your
in the
Honor.
amount of $1,408. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This is case number 162 on the calendar in the matter of Troush versus Barton. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats,
All right,
please.
you two ladies used to be friends, neighbors, now you're enemies. Each one of you claimed that the other is harassing the other. You also, Ms. Troush, claimed that the defendant either stole or took your lawnmower. Ms. Barton says that in addition to the harassment, you filed a complaint against her, criminal complaint, which caused her name to be circulated in the paper, and were you arrested?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
She was arrested. It was embarrassing, and it was all done out of a vindictiveness. How long have you known each other?
For several years, Your Honor.
Before you became neighbors?
No, we had lived there, and then her and her husband and family moved in.
And you became friends?
Yes.
For years?
Yes.
So what caused the problem?
Well, I decided to break off the friendship.
Why?
She had done numerous things in the past that morally I didn't agree with, and it just led up to a point where one day when I walked up to her door, I heard her and her live-in friend Rita talking about me behind my back, and I just thought that was the last straw.
Okay. When was that?
Somewhere around November of last year.
Okay. Now, Ms. Barton, why do you think that this relationship went sour?
Okay, we were friends for a period of time, and then there was an incident with my neighbor where she called the police and told the police that my neighbor
Who's she?
Jeanette, had told the police that my neighbor had threatened to beat her up. The police came to my door. My daughter and my son were outside playing at the time. My daughter didn't hear him threaten her, and neither did I. I wasn't even outside. Well, the police came and they asked me if I had heard him threaten her. I told the officer, no, I did not, because I wasn't outside. She got upset with me. After the police
Well,
left...
how did she know that you had had that discussion with the police officer?
She was standing outside. We lived directly across from each other.
What did she say?
After the officer left, I went over there and I was talking to her, and she's like, don't talk to me, and I can't believe that you wouldn't stick up for me. We've been friends for so long. And I told her, Jeanette, I didn't hear him threaten you, and I wasn't going to lie to the officer. Well, your daughter was standing up.
When was that? Was that in November? Was that in November, Ms. Troush?
I don't know when it was, Your Honor. She's talking about my neighbor, Robert.
I have the police report.
Oh, let me see the police report. Maybe that'll
And
give
I
us...
have also the newspaper I was in.
I don't need that yet. I'm trying to figure out when all this trouble started and why.
Okay,
and whether the court should be involved with it or you should take care
This
of it
one
yourselves.
is
By
that
somebody
same day
moving.
she accused him of loosening nuts on her.
You say it was November of 2001. This is October of 2001. So it came around the same time.
Yeah.
That's when you stopped being friends.
No,
now,
I don't even know, what she's talking about. I had called the police on that neighbor so many times for playing his music out in front.
well,
That had
this
really
was
nothing
a
to do
nuts
with-
and bolts incident, madam, in
That had
October of
nothing to do with-
2001.
That same night, she put a sign in her window. She made up a sign and it said, help me, someone is trying to kill me. It was there for 3 days. The co-ops that I live in made her take it down.
So then you became enemies. Now you say that there's been problem with a lawnmower and harassment. I'll hear you, Ms. Troush, and you have 60 seconds or less to tell me all about this childishness.
Okay. On March 14th, she was yelling out the window. When I got out of my car, she said the BIT filed a complaint against me. She encouraged people in her home to say things to me like, what a BIT. Again, on Saturday, April 13th, Maureen was yelling out the window to me as I walked from the car to the house, and that's what she usually starts yelling and cursing at me the minute I get out of the car and start walking to the house. And then Tuesday, May 21st, again. And then on Thursday, May 23rd, I just couldn't take it anymore because she said, you're going to be hurting. I'm going to get you. You're going to get yours. You can't watch your car 24 hours a day. You won't get away with filing a false police report.
And this was May?
And that was May 23rd.
Oh, okay.
And I have a police report and a witness. Another neighbor was outside and heard.
Okay. So she's saying not nice things to you.
Right.
You don't get compensated for that. Tell me about the lawnmower.
Well, what happened is right after May 23rd, and I had filed the complaint with the police, the very next weekend...
What did you file a complaint with the police about?
Because she said she's going to get me, and she's going to do something to our car. And
No. Listen to me.
Okay.
Don't make things up as you go along. You said that she said she was going to do something to you as a result of you filing a false police report about her.
Right.
When did you file the police report?
I didn't, and she didn't even know I didn't file a police report. I had called the police.
Okay.
I called the police.
When did you call the police?
I
What
called
date?
the police Tuesday, May 21st. Her and one of her friends was having a fight in our street, and they were yelling back and forth at each other, and it was really early in the morning, I think 2 a.m., and so I called the police, and somebody, the driver of the vehicle, threw a mug and broke it on our street and then peeled out of there. And that's why I had called the police. And that's what she was angry about.
Okay. What report did you make to the police? Can I see the police report? Because she must have
That is
it.
not true what she just said. This is what happened because the police came to my house. On the next page, it tells you what they found.
So you filed a police report. You made a complaint on the 21st of May. I want to hear about the lawnmower.
Okay. After I had made the complaint on May 23rd, the very next week, our lawnmower was stolen.
Yes?
And I'm just saying, it seemed pretty coincidental.
Okay. That's it? That's your side?
Well, there's more, Your Honor. I mean, Maureen knows that I'm a cancer patient and that I have a lot of stress already dealing with my cancer, but yet she continually goes outside and verbally just yells at me. She shouts at the top of her lungs all these bad things to me. Here's a statement from my neighbor.
I don't read statements from neighbors.
And my husband was there, and he heard her, and he knows how many times he's come home, and I've told him how she does this to me.
That's not nice. It doesn't come under the category of being actionable in court. She says not nice things to you. Courts don't get involved with that.
And
I certainly don't get involved with that.
We had our lug nuts loosened 3 times. So
you seem to have a lot of trouble with a lot of neighbors.
No, we don't.
Well, you had trouble with this neighbor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've lived in many neighborhoods and had a lot of neighbors. I have never called the police on a neighbor. Never.
And later today,
Why did you cause this damage to the apartment?
It wasn't intentional damage.
Yes, of course it was. Did somebody drug you?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeanette Troush says neighbor Maureen Barton owes for a stolen lawnmower and for nonstop verbal assaults. Maureen says Jeanette had her falsely arrested.
Now, you said that you called the police on this neighbor several times for loud music,
he's
for
a
touching
young
your
kid.
car, for lug nuts. I mean, that's all in here.
He's
So
a
you
young
seem
kid.
to have problems with a lot of your neighbors.
Only them 2, and it's mostly
Just a
Maureen.
minute. The neighbor that you initially called a police report in on, where the police asked her about the alleged threats, was that this 21-year-old boy or a different neighbor?
It would have been Robert. Yeah.
Not a different neighbor.
No. Robert lives right next to Maureen.
Okay. All right, Miss Barton, why don't you tell me about your counterclaim?
Okay, June 21st, I was sitting on my porch, and I was with my daughter and my son. Jeanette was getting out of her car with her husband. They were walking, because she lives directly across from me. Okay, as they were walking to their car, I had coughed. Well, Jeanette turned around and she looked at me and she said, "Why don't you shut up?" And I told her, "No, why don't you shut up and leave me alone?" That's when her husband, Joe, turned around and started flipping us the finger.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He was flipping the finger. Okay, they went into the house, and 2 days later, an officer came to my door, and my husband was home. I wasn't. They asked me to come in because they had to ask me some questions. So I went into the police department. I then proceeded to get arrested for a verbal assault that she had claimed that I made against her. She had told the officer that she had a witness that heard me say that I was going to beat her up, I was going to ruin her car, she was going to get hers, which I never made those statements, but she claimed I did. They arrested me. I went to court, and they dropped the charges in court. My name was published in the newspaper for this arrest, for everybody to see. I didn't do none of this stuff to her. And this is ongoing. It's every day. It's like she'll call the police, and if she doesn't get the results she wants, she goes for something bigger. And I just want this to stop.
Your Honor, I'd like to say the same thing.
How many times has the defendant called the police with regard to your actions?
How many times has Maureen called the police on me?
Yes.
Never, I don't think.
Never. How many times have you called the police with regard to her or any other neighbor? More than 5?
Definitely more than 5.
More than 10?
May I?
No, just answer my question. More than 10?
I wouldn't say more than 10, Your Honor.
Would you say 10?
I'd say it's getting close to 10.
All right. How old are you?
35.
35. I am several decades your senior, and I've lived in many neighborhoods and had a lot of neighbors.
Sure.
I have never called the police on a neighbor. Never. Had some I liked, I have some I didn't like, I have some that played music loud, I have some that played music I didn't like loud. I'd never called the police on a neighbor.
I understand.
Well, if you want to live someplace and not be bothered by other people, and if you have certain physical problems and you want to live stress-free, go build a cabin in the country.
I understand that.
Listen to me. Go build a cabin where you have no other neighbors. Police have other things to do other than to respond to your, for want of a better word, mishigas, which means your craziness. You got to stop that. Harassment has as its core not somebody saying bad things to a former friend. And I believe her when she says that you were annoyed with her because you had made a complaint against this neighbor. The police came to her, asked her whether she could validate your complaint. She said no, and you got angry. That's exactly how this started. Now, you may have then heard conversations about you, which made you madder, but that's how this problem started. You don't get compensated for that. And this lawnmower baloney that you threw in here, you have no idea who stole your lawnmower a week later? None whatsoever. Why would you even accuse her of doing something when you have absolutely no proof? None. Did you file a formal complaint against her or anyone of her family with regard to the lawnmower?
I did make a report about it, and I did.
You made a report about it. In the police report, did you say that you think you knew who took your lawnmower?
I said it could have been a possibility.
What could have been a possibility?
That my neighbor Maureen, because we were having problems.
That's your problem. You get nothing. However, I believe that filing these charges which caused her arrest were vindictive. And it caused her name to be published in the paper. And it caused an arrest. How many times have you been arrested, Miss Barton? How many times
Twice.
altogether? Twice. For this and what else?
Prior, there was a dispute. It was me and my husband. It was my husband, but then they dropped the charges, and he's the one that...
It was a domestic dispute between you and your husband. Other than the domestic dispute between you and your husband, have you ever been arrested for anything else?
No.
So it's embarrassing. You have children? Judgment on the counterclaim for the defendant in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties
Claim
are
is
excused.
dismissed.
You may step out.
We did so many favors for her, and she just used us until she couldn't use us anymore.
Judge Judy saw through the lies. She saw what was really going on, and it spoke for itself.
This is case number 439 on the calendar in the matter of Elite Limousine versus Armstrong. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Who's going to speak on behalf of Elite Limousine?
I will.
Good. Tell me your name.
I'm Deborah Williams.
Well, it's an interesting case. You provided limousine service for the defendant's wedding, picked up the defendant, and I assume the wedding party at the church and took them to where they had to go. Your bill for the evening was $795, something like that.
Yes,
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant refuses to pay. The defendant says that it was very nice of you to send the limousine. She never hired you. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you married?
October 26th.
Where?
At Zor United Methodist Church in Greer, South Carolina.
How big is this town in Carolina?
It's not a very big town.
How many churches are there?
Probably 30.
Was this on a Sunday?
It was a Saturday.
Is it your experience that all 30 churches, or most of them, have weddings on Saturdays?
Usually, yes, ma'am.
Booked a lot in advance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to try to explain to me your theory of how they arrived at your church to pick you up at your wedding on the 26th of October, just at the time that you and your wedding party were leaving the church. Explain that to me.
Well, it started about a month and a half prior to my wedding. I was calling around numerous places to get prices on limos. I contacted Elite Limousine at the time of contact over the telephone. I spoke with a lady and I told her I needed a limousine for my wedding. She asked me to give her the specifics, where the church was, what time my wedding was, how long I would need the limo and so forth, and that she would put the man on the phone with me that would take the information down for me.
Go ahead.
Okay, once he got on the phone, I gave him the specifics as far as date, where the wedding was going to be held, the times I needed the service, and at that time he told me that it would be $795 and that it required a $150 deposit. I told him at that time on the phone that I was not prepared to pay the deposit because I'd like to speak with my fiance. He told me that would be fine. What he would do is keep the information I'd given him, and I had until 5 o'clock that day to call him back with a $150 deposit, and if I did not call back, it would cancel out and the reservation would not be held up. So I spoke with my husband. We decided not to do it, and because he told me I didn't have to call back, if I didn't pay the deposit it would cancel, I never called back. The day of my wedding, I walk out of the church and there's a limo there.
No, now stop a second. That's how they got to your wedding, according to you.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people were in your wedding party that ultimately used the limousine?
There were 3 bridesmaids, 3 groomsmen, 2 flower girls, a ring bearer, and my husband and I, and 2 ushers.
How did you all get to the church?
We drove our own personal vehicles, and prior to the wedding, we had all decided that we would follow each other to the reception. That was our intentions after the wedding, to carpool to the reception.
So you gave up the idea of hiring a limousine?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
So after my wedding, we walk out of the church. The limo's there. Everybody's amazed, and I've got a videotape showing the actual footage where we're walking out of the church. As we walked up to the limo driver had the door open and he was standing there, and I said, "What is the limo for?" And he said, "Are you Sherry Armstrong?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "If you're Sherry Armstrong, this limo's for you." And I said, "Wait a minute." I said, I don't understand. I didn't rent a limo." He says, "If you're Sherry Armstrong, it's paid in full, everything's taken care of."
Okay.
So we got in the limo.
Got in and you went. And that's how it happened. So you thought it was a gift from somebody. Now I'll hear your side, Miss Williams.
Well, I think it was late evening in August. Miss Armstrong called. When I answer the phone, I always give people rates of each vehicle that we have.
Well, she says that nobody gave her the rates.
First thing we do anytime we answer the phone.
Do you remember her call specifically?
I do.
Well, then I want you to tell me her call specifically, if you remember.
I do. My husband took her call.
Okay, then if this is your husband, so let me hear you.
Yes, ma'am, I did. She called, and she was a very nice lady, and she had some unusual requests. She told me that she was on a budget. We understand that. She initially booked a Navigator. We have a Navigator SUV Super Stretch. So I told her to help her out. I would do what we call a split run, which we don't normally do, but the Greer, the church that she was at, is a well-known church in our community. Our shop is also located in Greer. So usually...
Don't tell me usually.
Okay.
She says, and it sounds logical to me, that if you were going to hold this date of October 26th, that would have required a deposit. What she says has a ring of truth to it, that she was told that you'll hold the date for her till the end of the day, then you're going to need a deposit to hold the date permanently and to show up at the wedding.
No, ma'am. She told me she would like to book the vehicle. A deposit is customary, but it's not something we do all the time. Yes, ma'am. And the reason I waived the deposit in this case is she said she didn't have a credit card. She would pay cash the day of the service. She did book the car. She gave me the information where to pick her up at the church. She said she was going to the city club. From the city club, wherever, which was after their, their reception. And the reason I gave her a flat rate is because we did do a split, and she wanted to be picked up back at 4 o'clock from 4 to 8. The reason I waived the deposit is because I did have all her information, and I had her work phone number, and I had the church. So I had no reason to believe that it was a call that would be somebody, playing a joke or anything.
I'd like to see the contract that you say she signed.
This is the contract. That was the total amount, and I'll explain that to Judge.
I just want to see her signature and tell me when you sent her the contract. Well, this was signed on the day of the wedding.
Yes, ma'am. We send the contract with the drivers unless they request it in advance, and then we faxed it to them. But since it was not requested, we always send it's considered a trip sheet. Each driver has that with them.
Tell me about this contract.
Okay. That contract was explained to me as a damage waiver. 5 hours into I'd already been to my reception. The limo picked me up at 4 o'clock, like he was supposed to. At 4 o'clock, we went to the church. We cleaned the church up. We left the church, and we were at a gas station 5 hours into the reception. The limo driver comes up to me. That was on a clipboard. He said, "Miss Armstrong, I apologize. I'm a new employee." He said, "This should have been signed prior to you getting in the limo at the church." He said, "All this is a damage waiver stating that if you have broken glass, any damages to the limo, you will be responsible for it." And I said, "That's all it is?" He goes, "Yes, yes, ma'am, it is." And then he made a joke, and he says, "Your first official signature is Mrs. Armstrong."
Well,
I signed it, he walked away, and that was it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You and your husband got in the car, 1, 2, 3, snap, snap, snap. If you think that's a gift, you come out of the church, you stop, you say, "My God, what is this? My goodness gracious me, where did this come from?"
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah and Gregory Williams claim they've yet to be paid for a limousine rented for Sherry Armstrong's wedding. Sherry denies ordering the limo.
Okay, Mr. Williams, you have your driver here?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see your driver.
I'm Gene Thompson, Your Honor.
Did you make a mistake, Mr. Thompson, that day?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Williams, did you make a mistake, sir?
No, ma'am.
I'm not so sure. I mean, I've dealt with limousine services before, and it's not usually handled this way.
Well, it's a judgment call for us waiving the deposit.
It's not a judgment call, Mr. Williams. It's business. If you told me that you knew this lady, that she came as a reference, that she came through a relative, that you knew her at all, and you decided that you were going to waive the deposit and hold the date anyway, maybe I could understand that. But someone who's calling you from the yellow pages that you don't know from a hole in the wall, you don't waive the deposit and hold that date and hold your Suburban. What if somebody else calls you and then she decides at the last minute that she's not going to use your service?
Ms. Williams can answer that. She did call back and she reconfirmed the date.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
me about that.
About a week prior to the event, I got a call. I would assume it was Miss Armstrong. She did not say she was. She was calling to check to be sure that her limo was confirmed. And she spoke about the number of people that would be in there. I said the limit in the Navigator is 15 people. She asked if more people could get in there. I said, "No, ma'am, that's the capacity. We have a larger vehicle."
I never called back. I did ask them about the capacity, the first call I made about a month and a half prior to my wedding. I never called them, nor did I go down there or pay any type of deposit.
I didn't ask you about going down there, paying any kind of deposit. I asked you about a telephone call.
I called one time, and it's a month and a half prior to my wedding, and that's it.
How many other limousine companies did you call?
Probably, I would say at least 8.
Who was the cheapest?
They were, actually.
Then what changed your mind about having a limousine pick you up at the wedding?
My fiance and I talked about it, and we just decided for $800 it just wasn't worth it, so we decided not to do it. And
I'd like to see your video.
Okay. This is right after our pictures were taken in the church. We were coming out.
I'm watching you. Whose car is the black car? Is the dark car right over there?
The black car there, I'm not sure, that must be a guest.
And it was as you were coming out there that you saw the limousine?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I have to make a judgment. They say that you called and reserved this limousine. You say you did not. You thought it was a gift. That is not what happens when you think that that's a gift. If you think that's a gift, what you say is you stop, you come out of the church, you stop, you say, my God, what is this? You turn around to the person driving the car and you say, my goodness gracious, put your hand down. My goodness gracious me, where did this come from? I didn't order this. This must be some mistake. You and your husband got in the car, 1, 2, 3, snap, snap, snap. Took a picture. I didn't see anything that says, where did this come from? This must be some gift. $795 judgment for the plaintiff. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They made the reservations. They knew it wasn't paid for.
I never signed a contract.
She said she'd take care of everything at the end of the evening. At the end of the evening, they were very intoxicated.
The limo driver told us repeatedly that it was paid for.
They were getting unruly.
I just feel like I'm not responsible.
I told them, go ahead and just let them out. I would handle it in the morning.
We assumed, which we shouldn't have, that the limo had been taken care of by a family member or someone else in the party.
They had 3 hours before the reception, before the driver came back to find out who had rented the limousine.
We had no idea.
Bless you. Your Honor, case number 380 on the calendar in the matter of Eckert versus Zavon. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Eckert, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time. You claim that you loaned him some money during that time and he owes you a month's rent because when he left, he didn't give you notice, and pursuant to your agreement, he should have given you a month's notice. Mr. Zavon says that he did borrow some money from you, not as much as you are claiming, and he would have paid you back, except that because of your actions, he lost his job, he had no way to pay you back, and that you kept some of his personal property, and he has a counterclaim. When did you live together? From when to when?
April 18th, 2001 to November 2nd, 2001.
Now, what were these loans for?
Actually, he was behind on some bills, and he had asked me to pay them for him, and I agreed as long as he signed something saying that he would pay me back, which he did.
Let me see what he signed.
I'd like to see that as well.
Absolutely.
It seems as though it's been changed.
It has been changed to less than it was.
Okay.
If you look very carefully, it's been changed to, I looked at that myself. It's been changed to a lesser amount.
Those
not
aren't
a
my
great.
initials, by the way.
That's your signature, however. I've
That
compared
is
it
my
with the
signature.
signature on the answer. That is your signature.
It is.
So now you remember signing that agreement.
I did,
Good. Now may I have it, please?
but not for that amount.
No, not true, sir. Because the original amount on this was some $1,500 and some odd dollars, and that was changed because the Sprint bill was not $200 and some odd dollars, but only $115. So it was reduced. You see that? It was reduced, not increased.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. You signed it. How much of this did you pay?
At the time, I wasn't able to
Not
pay.
at the time. At any time. How much of this did you pay?
$400.
Okay. Is that how much you paid back?
He paid back $350.
All right, he said $400. You have proof of $400?
Yes, I do. I have canceled checks. I also paid in money orders, and I don't have the receipts for those.
Okay.
But I'll be honest and say he did pay me $350, even though he doesn't have the proof of that.
Okay. $1,130. That's what's left.
Correct.
On the debt.
Mm-hmm.
And you're suing him for $2,028. Explain that to me.
Actually, on the lease agreement he signed, it says that he must give me a 30-day, 1-month notice prior to moving out. And when
Did you have a roommate before he moved in?
His friend actually moved in at the same time, and they both had the same agreement.
I asked you a question. I want you to give me the answer. Did you have a roommate before he moved in?
We all moved in at the exact same time, basically.
Are you still living in the same place?
Yes, I am.
With whom?
I have roommates now.
Okay. Now, you left, sir, November 2nd,
Yes, that's correct.
2001. Does your lease agreement provide that you give her 30 days' notice?
Yes, it does.
Did you?
No, I did not.
Why?
because she caused me to lose my job and sabotaged my career.
Okay, now let me hear your reason why she caused you to lose your job.
Okay. At the time, I had a job, a regular job, as a guitar player in a successful rock band. We were touring and we were on the East Coast, and I borrowed the money from her because our singer had an accident and broke a rib. I didn't have any money to pay the bill at the time, and so she offered to pay it, and I accepted. She said that I could pay her back when I had the money. However, over the next few months, she became very jealous, and it started getting really out of hand. She started calling me nonstop. She started going through my mail. She started going down my phone bill and calling every number on the phone bill. As a matter of fact, I have a phone bill here where her notes are evident, where she was looking for whether it would be a man or a woman answering the phone, and whether or not she would approve.
I still don't understand how she caused you to lose your job.
She was very jealous, and so when I was out on the road touring with a rock band, there are inherently situations that arise where women can get crazy, and she was aware of this, and she became very jealous, and she wanted me to come back to Los Angeles really bad. So what she did was she started to call the singer's wife.
Did you call the singer's wife?
She's a close friend of mine.
What kind of conversation did you have with her?
I asked her if she had heard from her husband, because Mark hadn't called me in a week, and he was my boyfriend at the time, and I was very concerned and worried because I had just gone through his pants pocket and found a phone number from a girl, which I called, who is a dancer, a stripper in New Orleans, and I spoke to her on the phone, and she did confirm, you know, that she had been talking to Mark, and she actually forwarded me the emails that Mark had sent her. So it did actually confirm that he was
Okay, so what did you
cheating on me.
call this woman for?
She's just my friend. I just wanted to know if she had heard from them. I was trying to call him and contact him because we were in a relationship. So if I hadn't heard from him in 3 days, I was very upset. I was seeing, you know, I was under stress, and I was seeing, you know, I had lost some of my hair because of stress. I mean, it was just very, very bad. But he actually, after I found out,
how did that cause you to lose your job?
She's told her so many stories that she finally, the singer's wife that is, finally started to call the singer and tell him that she was filing for divorce, she was going to take their daughter, and that he would never see them again. And in order to keep the peace in his family, he had to let me go.
That's
I would have done the
I don't know
same
if that's
thing.
true, so that's a lot of compromises.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Did you borrow her pants? Don't tell me I don't want to hear
Yes, I borrowed them.
All right, now, when did your cousin borrow them?
Yeah.
Oh, God, give me strength.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Eckert says ex-boyfriend Mark Zavon owes for rent and for unpaid loans. Mark says Sherry is holding his belongings.
All right. You all moved into this apartment together?
That's
Is that
correct.
right? And each of you were to pay $500 a month?
That's correct.
Each?
Yes.
Okay. So he owes you $1,630. He didn't give you a month's notice. That's so far. You have a counterclaim, sir? For $5,000, you claim that she caused you to lose your job.
That's correct.
That would be the reason that you just gave me, that you called the singer's wife and complained and told her a whole bunch of stories. Which,
Yeah, he was very happy. Excuse me.
That the singer is not here, the wife is not here.
That is correct.
Okay, so that's all hearsay. That's somewhere out here that I don't hear. All right, now the next thing that you're counterclaiming for is personal property that you say that she sold at a garage sale. What's the nature of the personal property?
Well, it's basically things like a mountain bike, camping gear, grill.
Why didn't you take that with you when you moved out?
At the time, I had just flown back from Battle Creek, Michigan. They dropped me off in the middle of nowhere, you know. So I had to find my way back to Los Angeles, and I had a
Yes.
U-Haul. I went to get my stuff.
So you got a U-Haul?
Yes, I did. And I started to load my stuff into the truck, at which point Sherry came home, and she started to throw my stuff out into the driveway and damage my stuff. And I was just trying to get out of there as fast as possible. I just wanted to be gone.
Yeah.
And so I did my best to get everything I could.
Yeah.
But I was unable to get everything. That
was in November of 2001. Is that
Mhm.
right?
And I've tried to get my stuff back since then.
Well, what have you done?
I asked her if she would give me my stuff back, and she said that she would if I paid her the money that I owed her. So I began paying her some money in order to get my stuff back. But I never received one thing. She would say that she would give me the stuff back, and then she would change her mind. And I never did get one thing back.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, actually, the camping gear he's talking about is a sleeping bag, which I purchased. Here's the receipt. And
Well, you purchased it for whom?
For when we were going to go on a camping trip, but it was been returned.
It was
got
a
returned
gift.
within the same week.
It was a
so
gift.
when he's talking about camping gear, it's something I own. The things that he's talking about are my things. He got
Like what?
everything that out of there.
Just a
he was
second.
talking
Let me see
about
your list. Let me see your list.
The bike, I don't even know what he's talking about. He never left a bike or any property there. There's nothing there.
Mountain bike, space heater?
I never saw it. I don't know what he's talking about.
Weight bench?
That's actually Todd's, his friend's weight bench. It's not his.
What about the incline bench?
That's also Todd's. That's not Mark's.
I don't know what she's talking about. This is all my property.
Well, then I feel like he had a U-Haul that was a huge truck, and before I got home, he had the whole thing packed. So I don't know why he didn't just take anything that he felt was left behind.
I don't know either. And I don't know why.
And
I don't know why he waited for a year to come after all this stuff. Anyway, in any event, you didn't pay any rent. Is that right?
I paid rent right up until the time that I was
No, you didn't pay any rent after you moved out, did you?
No, I did
Right,
not.
then you should have come to get all this stuff.
I tried to, but she wouldn't let me come over, and I didn't want to come over if it...
Then what you do is you go to court.
That's
do you understand?
true. Yes,
what you
I
do is you sue. What do you expect her to do? Hold on to all this stuff for a year?
I tried to get it back continuously.
Then what you tried by going to court, just like you did now.
I understand.
And you do so promptly. Yes, ma'am. It's easy. It's easy for her. She's got an IOU. IOU makes it easy. A lease makes it easy. But you don't leave a whole bunch of stuff, if this is your property, for a year and then say, oh, by the by, I want my property back. So you forget about that. You owe her $1,630. Isn't that what I said? $1,630?
$1,630.
Pay the money. Goodbye.
Please excuse. You may step out.
It was a jealous nightmare.
His unfaithfulness and his cheating and his liaisons with groupies on the tour bus actually was the breaking point of the relationship.
She really didn't like the whole idea of someone being out on the road.
He couldn't stay faithful.
Your Honor, this is case number 132 on the calendar in the matter of Brodzik versus Phillips. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Ms. Brodzik, it is your claim that the defendant destroyed some of your property. This was while you were on a vacation together in St. Thomas. He was there for a friend's wedding. Want to tell me what happened, please?
We arrived on a Tuesday morning. Everything seemed to be going fine.
It was his friend's wedding that was taking place?
Yes, it was. I'd met his friend before, prior to this. And
were you dating each other at the time?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And then Brad is not supposed to drink, and as soon as he started drinking later on that evening at dinner, he became quite belligerent. He started, dancing with other women at the bar, and then he started to pick a fight with a man that engaged me in conversation. And then after that, we went back to the hotel, and he passed out. The next morning, same scenario, drinking again, belligerent.
None of this is true.
Really belligerent. And at one point in the evening, he told me he was going to leave and go with the waitress, and said he couldn't believe that all his friends were saying, why was he there with me? And at that point, I thought he was kidding, until the waitress came up to me and said, are you with him? And at that point, I just knew I had to get away. So I went to the bar at the total opposite side of the place. I was talking to a gentleman. He was going to help me, get my stuff out of the room. Brad saw this conversation.
You mean this gentleman?
Yes.
Had you met this
I met
man
him
before?
There, yeah. I met him that day.
Okay, so you just met him?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Brad saw this conversation, and he threw a drink at me. He pushed me over a beach railing. He pushed me several times and started screaming, told me he was going to kill me, he was going to threaten my life. At that point, I called the hotel because I had both room keys in my possession. I said, please don't let him in the room. I just want to get back there, get my things, and leave.
Did he leave at that point?
His friends assured me that they would keep him with them so I could go back safely and get my things.
Go ahead.
And then I arrived at the hotel. The security officer said that the gentleman that's staying in the room had been there 5 minutes prior. As I walked up to the door, he was coming up from the beach, completely soaking wet. And I said, where's my stuff? He said, it's gone. It's gone. I got rid of it. I destroyed it. You don't have anything. And I went into the hotel room, and I just had an empty suitcase. Actually, when I walked in, these are my glasses. They were destroyed, and they were right when I walked into the room, as well as later on that day, my passport had washed up in the ocean. You can tell it's been destroyed. The top of it was ripped off because it's pretty much intact, other than the top of that. And I actually have pictures and a doctor's report from where the bruising had occurred from him pushing and hitting me.
Pushing and hitting you.
This was in the water?
Yes. Or it was on the beach. It was returned to me from the security office at the hotel.
It's on the beach. It clearly wasn't in the water. Can I see a list of the items that were destroyed, please?
Yes, ma'am.
You say cash, $900?
It was in my pocketbook at the time. I actually have a bank statement that shows I withdrew that money prior to vacation.
Well, where was your pocketbook?
It was in the room. I had just a little beach pocketbook that I took with me to the bar. I didn't want to...
And you left your cash in the room?
Yes.
That was silly. People don't usually do that. Wasn't there a safe in the room?
Yes. Yeah.
So why wasn't your stuff in the safe?
I just didn't...
Cash in the safe. Okay, Mr. Phillips, let me hear your version of the events, please.
Okay. On the night in question, we had been there the first night. Everything had been wonderful. We had gone out to a restaurant. If I was not supposed to be drinking, and if I become belligerent upon drinking, it would have obviously happened the first night, because between three of us, we went through about 3 bottles of wine, the very first night at dinner. Prior to this, 3 weeks earlier, I'd been to visit her in Boston, at which time we had dinner, bottles of wine, went out after that, drank that night also, went home.
What makes you think, Miss Brodzik, that he is not to drink?
He told me he had been in rehab in January, and he's not supposed to drink due to custodial rights and some agreement that he has with his
What kind of rehab
parents.
was he in?
I'm not exactly sure.
Drugs or alcohol?
Both.
Where were you in rehab, Mr. Phillips?
In Center City, Minnesota.
For how long?
For 14 days.
Is that a dry out?
That was not for alcohol.
What was it for?
It was for marijuana. I am in the alcohol business. It's what I do for a living. I am a registered sommelier. I taste wine for a living, and that is what I do. I have not had any problems, never been arrested for DWI, never been in any sort of...
Listen to me, sir.
Yes.
I never knew anybody who went into 14 days rehab for marijuana.
It was part of my wife had a problem with me smoking marijuana socially, and I said I didn't want to stop. She put an ultimatum to me to either do this or we were going to get a divorce. She was vehemently against marijuana. Those are the facts.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Phillips. So let's move on to Tuesday night, sir.
It's actually a Thursday night, ma'am.
Let's move on to Thursday night.
Thursday night, we are out with the wedding party, rehearsal dinner. Everyone's drinking, having a good time, including Miss Brodzik, drinking quite heavily. Everyone's dancing, karaokeing, wedding party. Everyone's having a good time. She says numerous times to me, oh, I'm going to go up to the bar and get a drink. I don't pay any attention to it. She goes up to the bar, gets a drink. I'm sitting there laughing, you know, having a nice evening with my friends. The groom, one of my best friends from college, looks over to me later that evening and says, have you noticed Jennifer missing a lot this evening? I said, no. He says, why don't you go look for her? I said, what do you mean? He says, do me a favor. Go look for your girl. I proceeded to walk around the corner of the bar to the other side of the bar that was hidden from where we were. As I walked around the other side of the bar, she has her hands wrapped around a gentleman's neck as they are sucking face.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was very hurt. This is a woman that 2 weeks earlier had asked me for monogamy. Now I find her with her tongue down another gentleman's throat.
And later today...
Did you ever pay a cable bill?
No.
Did you watch cable?
I wasn't there all the time to watch it.
Give me a break, will you please? I didn't ask you whether you sat there with your eyeballs glued to the television for 24 hours a day.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Brodzik says ex-boyfriend Bradley Phillips owes for destroying her belongings in a fit of jealous rage. Bradley says he caught Jennifer kissing another man.
Go ahead.
I then go over, pull the two of them apart, start screaming at her. Without question, I had lost my temper. I was humiliated. I was very hurt. This is a woman that 2 weeks earlier, when I had been in Boston, had asked me for monogamy. Now I find her with her tongue down another gentleman's throat, which was his quote, as a matter of fact, when he was asked by the groom what happened. So my friends say to her, look, go back, get your stuff out of the hotel room. We're going to take him out. You guys separate. I go out with my friends. I go back about an hour and a half later. I get back there. She still hasn't been in the room, hasn't taken any of her stuff out. I proceed to take her stuff in one swoop of my hands, where I had rented a villa on the beach, walked down and threw her items in the ocean.
So?
Overreaction to disturbing and tactless behavior by her. no question. However, I took on an all...
What was left in the room that belonged to her, sir?
I guess the suitcase. I just reached into the suitcase, grabbed all the stuff, walked down and threw it in the ocean.
Did you take her passport?
No, I never touched her passport, ma'am. Did not rip the cover of her passport any way, shape, or form. Everything was in... I just reached in the suitcase, scooped everything up, and threw it in the ocean.
What about the cash?
Have no idea. Never even saw a wallet. There was a bag there, but I just...
What do you mean a bag?
There was her Louis Vuitton handbag. Was part of it.
Was part of what you
Was part of
threw?
everything that I grabbed, yes.
Okay.
And I would also like to show you the amount for this ruined vacation, which had been going along fine. If she was unhappy with what had been going on the night before, I'm sure she would have been able to communicate that with me. She could have gotten on the plane the next day. To have disgusting behavior at which, in front of one's friends at a wonderful wedding, to end up in a bar kissing another gentleman with all of my friends there and me. This is a woman who pursued me for 18 months on the phone, calling me, telling me that I ruined her life because she couldn't find another man because she was so in love with me. To then taking her away on this beautiful trip, $2,500 vacation, on the second night we're there, I catch her making out with some guy in the bar. I was furious, humiliated, and angry. I overreacted, but nevertheless, it was a reaction to her behavior.
Okay. Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Brad is a raging alcoholic with a violent temper.
She's ready to run around with any guy in a bar who's willing to play tonsil hockey.
This was completely after he said he was leaving with the waitress.
She is nothing but a tramp.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Harvey versus Hyatt. Step forward, please. This is case number 14 on the calendar in the matter of Hickman Williamson versus Jennings. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Thanks, Bird.
Quite welcome.
You two folks are boyfriend and girlfriend, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. And you had a fight. Police were called. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
When was that?
It was March the 3rd.
Is this the first time you were arrested for domestic violence?
No, Your Honor.
How many times had you been arrested for domestic violence?
3.
Same gal?
No.
3 different gals?
No, 2, Your Honor.
How many times with this young lady?
1.
He doesn't have a good track record. In any event, you were being held in jail, and you decided that you didn't want him in jail. Is that right?
That's right, Your Honor.
So you wanted to post bail. So you got some money together. How much was the bail?
$1,500 in cash.
But you didn't want to go down and post the bail yourself.
No, Your Honor, I was not able to since I was involved in the case.
So that you gave the $1,500 to the defendant to post the bail.
That's right.
Correct?
Correct.
And you went and posted the bail, and of course you understood that when and if the bail was returned, that it went back to the plaintiffs.
Correct.
The bail was ultimately returned, and it was returned to you by way of a check.
Right.
Sent to your home.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you want your money.
Yes.
So, Mr. Jennings, when did the check come to your house?
I never saw the check, Your Honor.
I have the check where it was mailed out.
Let me see.
Give him the one that I signed to.
Well, this is $1,289.
Yes, that was after fines and court
Yes.
costs, Your Honor.
When did you call Mr. Jennings to ask him about the money?
I called him every day after the court hearing. Every day, sometimes twice a day.
And what did he say the very next day?
He said he had not received the check yet.
Did you call him the next day?
Yes.
I asked him every day too, Your Honor, because he was my friend, and I used to hang around him. So I asked him every day, and he denied receiving the check.
Did he ever say to you somebody had stolen his ID, which is
Yes.
his defense?
Yes.
When was your ID stolen, Mr. Jennings?
About the 15th or something like that.
All right. So let me ask you some specifics. So you got a call from the plaintiffs the very next day. So you were on alert that this check was going to be coming.
Right.
Do you work?
No, not right now.
Were you working then?
No.
So you were home.
Not always.
You were home enough to get your mail
Right.
every day.
Yes.
Who else lives with you?
A friend of mine.
Who?
This guy named Tommy.
Tommy what? Did you ask Mr. whether he had seen the check?
Yes.
And what did he say?
He said he hadn't seen it.
Now tell me where your mailbox is.
The mail comes into my door. It's a slot in the door. They slide the mail through.
And only the two of you were there?
There's people in and out my apartment all the time.
People invited by whom?
Me.
So you find out who stole the check. They're not going to be out the money. Sir, if what you're suggesting is that somebody came and stole that check, forged your name to the check, which they would have had to have done, is that right?
Right.
Take it to a bank where they had an account, or to this bank.
I have his signature, Your Honor.
Can
where
I
he
see it, please?
Cashed the check.
Can I see it?
And I
Statement from the BP.
also have a written statement from the manager at the BP gas station where he cashed the check. It was cashed at a gas station, not a bank.
I'm looking at your answer, Mr. Jennings, where you signed your name. I'm looking at this check, so whoever signed your name not only signed your name, but also was a pretty good forger. So it had to be somebody who knew your signature really well.
If someone stole my ID, enough practice, they can forge your name right.
Well, enough practice. Let's see when this was done.
I have a written statement from the manager at the BP that
Let me
said
see it, please.
that it was him.
Let me see. Well, the only problem with this letter, which indicates that John Jennings came into the store and, in fact, cashed this check, is that I don't know whether this man knows John Jennings.
I can tell you how he knows him, though. I mean, just in my words, that John Jennings used to work at a place called Kitchen, and the BP is right next to it, and he used to go there to get his checks from the kitchen cashed. And that's how the guy knew him. And he has no bank account, so therefore he couldn't go to a bank. He had to go to the BP to get the check cashed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I've been on the bench for a very, very long time and have had the ability to compare signatures with somebody who'd been signing the name for a very long time. How old are you?
22.
Like 22 years.
And later today,
We walked in the door, and I still can't talk about this. The cat was lying there half dead.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angie Williamson says when boyfriend Drayton Hickman was arrested for domestic violence, she gave former friend John Jennings money for his bail. Angie and Drayton claim John stole the refund check.
Mr. Jennings, I'm not prepared at this moment in time to say that you are a thief. I may think it, but I'm not prepared to say it. Whether you are a thief or not, you have the ability to find out who actually, if it wasn't you, which I doubt, stole your ID, cashed this check because you live with one other person and you know, according to you, who else comes in and out of your house.
Right.
So you go find them, sir.
Well,
yes.
Well, when she called me from the courthouse saying that the check had been cashed with my ID, had called to the courthouse and was trying to find this out. And I was on my way down there, and I seen a mutual friend, and this friend told me that they said that I robbed them, and I was doing them a favor by going to bail him out of jail, and for them to accuse me of robbing him, I don't think that I should have to figure out who done
You
it.
probably did rob them, sir.
Excuse me, Your
Shh.
Honor. I'm sorry.
You probably did. Mr. Jennings, I am not a handwriting expert. However, I've been on the bench for a very, very long time and have had the ability to compare signatures, to take expert testimony in the field of forensics, and I look at those signatures, and they're the same. You signed twice, once before the check was cashed, and then they said to you, no, we want to see you sign it again right here so that you're not going to take a lot of time to sign your name. And the same signature, Mr. Jennings. And all this happened in a relatively short period of time so that whoever signed that check didn't have a couple of months to sit around and try to figure out who signed, how to sign the name very, very quickly. It was somebody who'd been signing the name for a very long time. How old are you?
22.
Like 22 years. Anyway, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,289.75. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I totally trusted him too with my money, or I wouldn't have given it to him in the first place.
I was just thinking some BS.
I never thought he would do that to me because we've known each other for so long.
How you doing, Judge?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's case number 95 on the calendar in the matter of Raymond versus Holmes.
Thank
Parties
you.
have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Raymond, you and the defendant were involved in a romantic relationship and decided to lease an apartment together. The defendant moved out sometime during the lease, and you want her to be responsible for her half of the rental of the apartment. That's what the case is about. Ms. Holmes says she was sort of forced to move out. She'll explain that to me. When did you decide to lease this apartment together?
We leased the apartment February 5th, 2001. We were living previously at another apartment complex, but it was just strictly my name on the lease.
And what prompted you to rent this apartment together?
I was naive enough to think that we might be together for the rest of our lives and maybe start a family together one day, you know? And obviously I was wrong, and...
That's the end of the story. How much were you paying in the old apartment?
I was paying $685.
And how much was the rent on the new apartment?
$870.
What was the financial arrangement as far as the rent was concerned?
That we both pay half, and we were both paying half of electricity and telephone as well.
How many months did you live there together?
Together we lived there for 5 3/4 of a month.
Let's say 6 months.
6 months.
Now, it is correct, Ms. Holmes, that you were paying half the rent.
Yes.
When did you move out and why?
I moved out the beginning of the summer, probably end of July, beginning of August. Throughout our relationship, we had many of fights. It became abusive, not only verbally, but physically. And
when did it become physically abusive?
I have here, we both were arrested for breach of peace. We got into a fight. It was at the previous apartment that he lived at.
So you both were arrested for breach of the peace?
Yes.
When?
It was the day after Christmas in 2000.
Fine. Don't give me ancient history, Miss Holmes. After that happened, you moved into an apartment together, and you signed a lease. Were there any incidents of domestic violence between the two of you after you signed the lease in February of 2001?
In that residence?
Yes.
There was no actual police reports for
That doesn't answer my question.
There was violence.
Well, tell me about it.
It was just when we would argue, we would get into fights.
You would fight with each other?
Yes.
All right. With each other?
I would fight back because I'm a lot smaller, but there's only so much I can do to him.
All right. You would fight with each other?
To get him off of me. And
Miss Holmes, you'd fought with each other. Why did you move out? And make sure I get a legitimate answer, please.
Because I was afraid.
No.
I was sick.
No. That's not why you moved out. You may have thought you made a mistake and you didn't care for him anymore, but that's not why you moved out. You suddenly moved out.
I wanted to end the relationship.
Right. That sounds right.
I had had enough.
Fine. That sounds right. You didn't want to be with him anymore for whatever reason. Don't tell me what happened a year and a half before when you both were arrested for breach of peace. You didn't like him anymore. You wanted out. Did you have anybody else?
No.
Weren't dating anybody else?
No. I still to this day haven't dated anyone.
That's not the truth, Your Honor.
Just a second. Because that's what he believes in any event. All right. Now, when you moved out, what arrangements did you make with him with regard to the rent and regard to the lease?
I told him that I would pay him for the month after that I had moved out, just to be nice, to help him out, because I understood that it was a lot of money, and that after that he was on his own.
Did she have this discussion with you, Mr. Raymond?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
Fine. She said she'd pay you 1 month when she wasn't there and then start looking for a roommate.
Matter of fact, she said she was going to help me out every month, not just 1 month, until it was over.
Did she pay you that 1 month?
At the end of August, yes, or beginning of August, August 1st, she did.
Okay. What kind of search did you do, sir, to find a roommate?
Is
not an answer.
I tried to find a roommate. My best friend was going to move into the house, but it was just a one-bedroom, so it was very hard to live with somebody else as well as the dog that we both owned. Really, no one else could be around the dog except for me and her. And it's hard to find somebody to live with a dog that is not their owner.
Mr. Raymond,
Yes.
she moved out a year ago.
Yes.
Are you still living in the apartment?
No, Your Honor.
When did you move out?
February 5th?
When your lease was up?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I moved in with my best friend.
And what's your rent?
$300.
So you did not attempt to get out of your lease?
I attempted to, but without the $350 lease breakage fee, which I have in the lease right here, they wouldn't let me even try to do it because she has to come up with $350 for the lease breakage fee, as well. She wrote a
Well,
letter.
she could have, listen to me, she could have, instead of giving you the $435, given them the $350 for the lease breakage fee. And then what would have happened to your rent?
I would have still been able to cover it, probably.
Okay. So instead of spending less money to break the lease, which she could have done, correct? She gave you more money for the month that she wasn't there.
Yes.
So I want you to tell me, Mr. Raymond, after a year, what brings you to court, sir?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Suddenly, when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone. Of course.
And later today,
We have a lot of strays.
Strays are not your problem. Your problem is your two cats.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joe Raymond says former live-in girlfriend Lindsay Holmes owes for breaking an apartment lease. Lindsay says she moved out because she was scared of Joe.
Go ahead.
What brings me to court is, well, we still have relation within this year. I mean, we still talk to each other. It was on and off for the past year. And she continuously told me, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to help you out, I'm going to give you money. And I never received any money except for that one time in August. And I found out that she was seeing a Rocky Hill police officer. And I was very disturbed of that
When
fact.
did you find that out, sir?
I found this out 3 weeks after she moved out in August. That's one of the main reasons we stopped talking at that time.
That's still a year ago, so what brings you to court now?
To get the money that I feel as if I'm owed, because I owe money to the leasing agent, and
Why?
they still, because I lost my job in December and I was lay off just doing snow work removal,
Yeah.
and I couldn't afford it, so now they're coming after both of us to get the money.
When did you stop paying rent, sir?
I paid September, October, November, December.
December rent was not paid.
Let me see. Oh, I see. You paid with a bad check in November.
But it was...
Sir, so it's 2 months' rent that you did not pay.
Yes, but I had talked to the rental agent and I had explained them my situation, and they worked with me the best they could.
I have to find, Mr. Raymond, that there was some reason for her not to break this lease, which she could have done for a lot less money than she gave you for the period of time when she was there. For $350, she could have gotten her name off this lease and not been responsible at all. So I must assume that you wanted to stay in that apartment. Now, the difference is really negligible between what you were paying in your own apartment and this apartment. You were paying that yourself.
She was living there as well, but her name wasn't on the lease and she was helping me.
Helping you is not paying. You didn't take that apartment with the idea that she was going to be paying half the rent.
No.
The first apartment.
I had
Right?
a lawsuit that I was given, and I had a lot of extra money. And then suddenly when the money ran out and I didn't have any more money left, she was gone. Of course, it's the way it works.
Got to take care of your own expenses, sir. I think that she gave you every opportunity to fill in the apartment with somebody else for the next couple of months. She tried to do the right thing. She could have just as easily gotten herself totally off the hook by spending a lot less money.
It was still hard for me to find somebody to live with. And
Get over it.
all right.
Should have tried harder. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's attacked me before. I have a criminal court case pending right now against him.
I'm definitely not a dangerous man.
Xin chào các bạn. Hôm nay mình sẽ tô màu một chú thỏ. Vậy là mình đã hoàn thiện xong bức tranh tôm hùm chú thỏ. Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video tiếp theo.